Insulation. Don't freeze as it gets colder. If your furnace isn't working, Air Comfort Service can get you back in your comfort zone fast with a service call for only $99. Get your furnace serviced. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Ray.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For the sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, welcome to the Annie Fry Show. It's Monday. It's snowy on the ground now, not falling from the sky. Sun's shining pretty brightly out there at this point, and we have made it into work. I am hoping right now that if you are, if you're somebody who doesn't have to go into work, that you're able to stay off the roads. They are passable. Take it slow. Don't be an idiot. And you'll be able to get to work or wherever you need to do just fine. But as they continue to work on the roads, the plows, making, lots of space for emergency vehicles should they have to pass. If you can stay home today, you should stay home today. If you have to go somewhere, take it slow and be smart, and you'll be just fine. So that was a snowy weekend. I think we had it was very close to 11 inches of snow at our house.
I think we had 9.
Glen Carbon, we were looking at the deck, and we were thinking about going out to measure it, but just didn't want to go outside and do it. So we didn't. It was a beautiful snow, though, and a wonderful weekend indoors, and hopefully everybody was able to stay warm and safe. And now we understand that there are some schools that are calling school off for tomorrow. Those frigid cold temperatures might be keeping some people at home, so stay tuned for that, but keep it right here. We've got a lot on the docket for you today, including today's YouTube poll. Have you made up your mind regarding the death of Minneapolis protester and nurse Alex Pretti? Yes or no? I'm not asking you what you've decided. I'm asking you if you've decided you know exactly what happened. Have you reached a conclusion surrounding the death of protester and nurse Alex Pretti? Now, when I wrote that question in and of itself, I had to put in there in my mind, I was trying to be as fair and balanced as I possibly could. So I added in protester and nurse because these are both ways that Alex Pretti, the man who was shot in Minneapolis, who was impeding an ICE operation while lawfully carrying a Sig Sauer P320 that was disarmed from him from all videos that I have seen, slowed down frame by frame on repeat, watched very closely in slow motion what went down. It looks as though Alex Pretti was disarmed and then fired upon. So we're going to talk about this today. We're going to have this discussion, and we're going to find out where you are on this issue, and you're going to find out where I am on this issue. But I think the most important question that I want to know from you, listeners of 97.1 FM Talk and the Annie Fry Show, are you concluded? Do you know what happened, and you're resolved with where you think this situation manifested, and the end result, of course, being the death of Alex Pretti, which I would say is tragic. I hope you would too. The death of Alex Pretti, do you know how you feel about it? That's the question, yes or no. If you go to the Annie Fry YouTube channel, you'll see we're broadcasting live there. The live chat is located in the live broadcast of today. And you can comment, you can vote, and we will give those results at the end of the show. We'd also welcome your text messages on this issue, 314-241-9797. You can text the show directly, your thoughts, 314-241-9797, and tell us if you've made up your mind regarding the death of Minneapolis protester and nurse Alex Pretti. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about this here in a second, but this is a really important week on the Annie Fry Show. So before I get into the meat and potatoes of the news of this weekend, and there was a lot of news with a snowstorm that stretched pretty much the width of the nation, and then, of course, protests amplifying in Minneapolis. It's National School Choice Week, but we on the Annie Fry Show celebrate National Lutheran Schools Week. I, for one, went to Lutheran schools myself. I am a graduate of Trinity Lutheran School in Edwardsville in 1998, proud 90s grad there, and then Metro East Lutheran High School in 2002. And Lutheran schools have helped shape my life, my foundation, but now most importantly, my children's education. They attend Lutheran schools as well. And last year, during this week, we established the Annie Fry Show Scholarship. And I am so excited that this week we are doing it once again. Now, there are several ways you can donate, and I'm going to harp on you all week. I am so sorry. I want you to be a part of this, and I want to tell you right now, there is no donation that is too small. If you've got $5 to spare, that can help an area, bi-state child, somebody's grandchild, acquire that access to a Lutheran school. Tuition for Lutheran schools is much more affordable, first and foremost, than you think, but it is money out of your pocket that when you send them to public schools, you pay for that in taxes, whether you send them there or not. Tell me about it. I'm asking you right now to consider making a donation to help us. We have a very steep goal, $15,000, that we are trying to reach by the end of the week, and that is a very steep goal. I don't know if we're going to be able to make it, but that's the goal that they have set for us. So I am pleading with you to consider supporting the Lutheran Elementary School Association of St. Louis, which I am so proud to be in partnership with, and to try to make a donation if that is something that you can afford to do. You can text Annie26, the year of 2026, text Annie26 to 41444, and you can see what you can do there to make a donation. Annie26, text Annie26 to 41444. When we come back here in a little bit, it's about 10 minutes from right now, we're going to speak with Asra Nomani, who is the senior editor of investigations at Fox News Digital. And I'm looking forward to this conversation because while we are discussing, and we are going to today throughout the course of the next 3 hours, we're going to talk about how did we get to here? Why do we even know the name Alex Pretti? There's a lot of people who go to these protests. There were a ton of people who went to the March for Life protests this past weekend. The showing of people in Washington, D.C., always in the frigid cold at the end of January, protesting abortion and advocating for life. A lot of good people protest. In fact, I would venture to say that the majority of people who show up and lobby for a change, when you show up and you stand with a sign or you show up in force with your fellow brothers and sisters who care about a cause, when you do it peacefully, that is American. That's as American as it gets. And it doesn't matter if the issue is one that I align with or don't. I, in my First Amendment right, have the opportunity to judge you and your cause when I drive by, when I honk in support, when I roll my eyes in sarcasm, I suppose, as I drive by. Whatever that might be, we have a First Amendment right, and it's an important one. That's why it's the first one. To be able to have these opinions and to have them wholeheartedly, passionately to have these opinions about what is taking place in our country and to advocate for it and to advocate against our government, to speak without fear of repercussion, because our First Amendment rights are to be protected. When you know Alex Pretti's name, why do we know his name? Well, he was shot this weekend, and everything leading up to that moment matters. Every bit of the Alex Pretti story matters. And I'm very, very reluctant to, but also emboldened to say that, folks, Alex Pretti's death is full of nuance. There is an enormous amount of context that is involved in understanding and digesting what actually happened to Alex Pretti. Yes, he was a nurse. When you hear people, if you're reading through the media and you're trying to, somebody made a comment early on that they were trying to find out exactly what it was that happened to Alex Pretti, but they can't find a single outlet that is unbiased. Here it is. Joe says, I literally don't know what happened because I can't find a news source that isn't biased one way or the other. He was a huge lib, but I miss boring old Cronkite and facts. I listened to Kash Patel suggest that Alex Pretti, who was lawfully carrying a Sig Sauer P320 and 2 loaded magazines, that somehow was an indication of his intention at that protest. The fact that he was lawfully carrying a weapon was an indication that he was there to cause trouble. I do not believe that. If Kash Patel were the director of the FBI in a Democrat administration, Second Amendment hawks would be seething at the comments that Kash Patel made regarding his legal and lawful possession of that weapon. We have a long, long list of attorneys general across the country who have advocated for it to be unlawful to carry a weapon at a protest. Those AGs come from blue states. So we have this whole storm, this firestorm swarming around the presence of the gun and people trying to determine what happened based on the physical presence of an inanimate object. That's going to be tempting to talk about. It's not a detail in the story. What ICE did in reaction in a moment where milliseconds cause people to make judgment decisions, they do not have the benefit of the Monday morning quarterbacking that is taking place right now on this shooting. Was it a good shoot? Was it a bad shoot? People are going to have very differing opinions on that, and I am here to listen to those people who have thought about it and have an opinion on it. And folks who have thought about it and have an opinion on it are going to think differently about it. I'm not going to show up on this show on 97.1 and say, what did ICE do? Because I support what ICE did. I'm not going to show up here and say, what did the protester do? What did the nurse do? He was gunned down, homicide by law enforcement. I'm not going to do that either. There is a whole stew of circumstances that led up to Alex Pretti's death. And the only way that I feel like I can look at it right now is it is a tragedy on every front. In the moment where law enforcement has to make a split-second decision because the tension of the moment where they are there to enforce the law has been elevated by people who have had boundaries removed from how one is to act while flexing their First Amendment rights by those very officials who are there to govern the city and the state and the local responsibility of local law enforcement. All those boundaries, they're not blurred. They're gone. They've been erased, and they've been erased by the people like Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. That is intentional. They want chaos. They've got chaos. And it's causing the lives of those people who support the same thing that those individuals support. They've created room to destroy. Go back to Baltimore. Remember when the mayor in Baltimore said, let's give these people room to destroy. Let's give them a place to act out. That's what we're seeing in Minneapolis right now, and it's costing lives. We're going to talk more about that when we come back. Asra Nomani is going to join us, the senior editor of investigations at Fox News Digital, and she is going to lay out for us a great article that has been put together here by Asra. Lay out for us, how did we get to this moment? This is not an isolated incident. It is not the same incident as Renee Good's death either. These are all individual lives. These are individual people with souls that are being thrust into these situations, both by their choice and by the instigation of those people around them. We need to pay attention. We need to be vigilant to pay attention to details and to facts. Let's think with our heads as well as our hearts. Asra Nomani on what is taking place in Minneapolis and how we got here. Next.
We were coming alive. Yeah, caught up in a southern summer, barefoot blue jean night. Blue eyes and auburn hair.
HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com. Please consider reaching out to Matt Hayes of Home Shield Foundation Repair and talking to him about the foundational concerns that you have at your home. 314-271-9900. 314-271-9900. Home Shield Foundation Repair has the decades of experience and also the quality reviews that you probably need in order to say, okay, I've got this issue. The basement is wet. You've got frigid cold water outside right now, and you know that could lead to shifts or whatever in your foundation. When you call Matt Hayes, if you know you've got a problem on your hands, you're going to get solutions, suggestions for solutions, how Home Shield Foundation Repair can assist you. You're going to get it from an expert, somebody who knows exactly what they're doing, and someone who's going to give it to you straight. Matt Hayes is a wonderful person, great family-owned local business. All you got to do is call 314-271-9900. That's 314-271-9900. Find them online at homeshieldfoundationrepairs.com.
Now that we're getting older, we've been putting more thought into maintaining our health.
We knew the water we drink every day could be filled with contaminants, so
We called Leaf Home Water Solutions.
they came to our home and did a free water test and gave us the analysis right away.
We were shocked at what we saw.
They found heavy metals like iron and copper.
Our own tap water was putting our health at risk, but Leaf Home Water Solutions made it easy to get safer water from every tap and hose. A whole home solution.
They have more than 250 product combinations and designed a system that fits our needs and budget. The installation took less than a day.
With Leaf Home Water Solutions, our water is safer and healthier. When we drink, when we cook, when we shower, even when we garden.
We feel better about our health.
Thanks to Leaf Home Water Solutions.
Schedule your free home water test today at leafhome.com/free and save 15% on all home water treatment systems. That's leafhome.com/free for your free home water test and 15% off. leafhome.com/free.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Annie Fry is St. Louis conservative.
You've got your mother and your brother, every other undercover, telling you what to say.
What sticks out to me from covering these protests here for the past several days in Minneapolis is just how organized these protesters are. We talked about the ICE Watch Group. These people have spotters, Sean, all over the city. So they see who pulls in and out of the federal building, whether they're ICE agents or not. They want to track you down. They want to put you in a database, and then it's shared, according to DHS sources, through signal chat. So that's what sticks out to me about this. They're angry, they're motivated, and they have a message for these ICE agents that they don't want them in the city of Minneapolis. And I think it's important to point out, too, as you have, when you're talking about who these neighbors are, I asked those protesters, you're here to protect your neighbors. We hear it from the governor. We hear it from the mayor of Minneapolis. Who are the neighbors? I asked a few of the protesters. Are you here to protect the guy who DHS says was in the country illegally, that is wanted for sodomy, for murder? And they say, no, that is not true. They're taking, American citizens into custody. So no matter what you say, no matter what the facts are from DHS or from whatever side, they don't want to hear it. So that's what we've been dealing with on the ground. Things do escalate, and then 1 minute it's okay, you blink, and it's a different story. The smell of tear gas ongoing here in Minneapolis, Sean.
So there you have a report from Minneapolis of the current situation that they are facing, and that's Alexis McAdams reporting on these protests. The protesters... I want to talk about the organization that exists behind these situations. I mean, it's really quite amazing to understand the magnitude with which what we are seeing in Minneapolis, how organized it is and how high up the organization goes. So, when you think about the operation and how it functions, you have to understand that it's pretty significant. Let's get to our guest here. Asra Nomani, senior editor of investigations at Fox News Digital, has a wonderful article on this on foxnews.com entitled "The Far Left Network That Helped Put Alex Pretti in Harm's Way, Then Made Him a Martyr." Asra, thank you for being with us here on the Annie Fry Show. It's good to have you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I want to give you the floor here to talk about how we get to this point where, it is a tragedy. Anytime there's a life loss, it's a tragedy. People want to talk about very simple details in regards to what happened in those moments, but the context of Alex Pretti's death is a pretty wide-ranging context.
Yeah, so my name is Asra Nomani, and I came from India. I know that may not matter in this case, but I have seen sectarianism, in the world. Just on Friday, we recognized a day that a colleague of mine from the Wall Street Journal was kidnapped in Karachi, Pakistan. His name was Danny Pearl. And I bring all of this up because what we're seeing today on the streets of Minneapolis is akin to the type of sectarian warfare that we've seen around the world, where identity politics and partisanship ends up becoming deadly. How it unfolded in Minneapolis, as I've been able to report, is that the Trump administration announced this surge on its immigration enforcement actions. And in response, a network of far-left organizations kicked into gear because this was the perfect opportunity to create a confrontation with federal authorities. I've been following these organizations for many years now because they have been the leaders of many of the protests that we've seen in the streets against Israel, for example, against the United States action in Venezuela, and so many issues. Well, Saturday morning, I was in a Signal chat in which I have gone into to monitor of the rapid responders that have kicked in, calling themselves ICE Watch. And they were staging observers to go to the street where the victim was killed many minutes before the incident occurred. Yeah, it was shocking to me because what happens is every morning, every day, every night, they send out alerts and they tell people where to go. And so there's this place that's very popular called Glam Duck Donuts, and they literally told people to go there because they found a maroon Dodge Durango with 2 federal officers. And then the witness to this in the chat shared a video of those 2 federal agents coming up to the door of this donut shop and trying to enter. I don't know if they saw a sign that said "No ICE Welcome," but there was definitely a sign that said "ICE out of our town" on the storefront window. And then the videographer followed the agents as they got into their car and said, "Get out of here." And so that was minutes before the videos that we've seen now of the victim, standing in the middle of the street. But the call went out in those minutes to have observers rush to that street in order to take witness of these federal agents. And the data about these sightings have all gone into an actual database that has the license plate numbers, photos of the cars, photos of the agents, and it's hosted on a data platform site called Airtable that's open to the public. I just got to it by clicking a link, and I just checked the database, and they're still out there reporting. There was just a sighting 15 minutes ago, and it's let me see, the actual sighting now is of a let's see here on 1:26, 12 p.m. Minneapolis time, a white Mazda CX-5.
Wow.
Yeah, and seen at Whipple, and the tag says confirmed ICE. Well, we don't know, right?
Sure.
And then another tag for other vehicles is highly suspected ICE. So the article that I wrote chronicled the staging that happens every single day to create these confrontations. And why does it matter to all of us? Because in the minutes and hours after the killing, media outfits that are propaganda wings of these Marxist, Leninist, communist, socialist groups, self-described, I'm not putting labels on them, kicked into action. They sent out an alert for an immediate protest. They put out the video of the killing with sensational headlines about executions, and the narrative had been written, And so that's why everybody, I wanted to write this piece because I just just wanted everybody to just see what was going on behind the scenes, because this isn't anything that we get to really understand if we just watch the mainstream media. They just put the protesters on, like the next door neighbor and the friend and the this and the that, but they don't describe the network that they're in.
Is the organization, the signal chat that you are observing, the database that you're observing, do they ever mark people ICE incorrectly? Do they ever mark people out there that are just living their Minneapolis lives incorrectly, that those people end up getting harassed?
Oh, yeah. There's a tag that is marked unknown, and there's one entry for an incorrect tag, and that was of a rental vehicle that apparently was used by ICE at one point, but now is being used by the media. That was the only correction I could find. But in the database is, I'm just scrolling through it now, scores upon scores of yellow tags of highly suspected ICE, which means, of course, they don't even believe it's confirmed. And then those that are marked red as confirmed ICE, who really knows, right? But included in them, are the photographs of individuals and people and cars, and you can see the stickers on the back of cars. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of information.
Asra Nomani speaking with us right now, the senior editor of investigations at Fox News Digital. She has a great piece on foxnews.com about everything that goes into what's taking place with these protests in Minneapolis. They are identifying these people, and it sounds like sending people, they're sending their foot soldiers to specific locations to do what? What is, if they're successful with the delivery of bodies to these different locations, what are they supposed to do once they get there?
Well, we see the images. I was up late last night seeing the images of the assault on one of the hotels, where agents were supposedly staying. The police action dispersed some of those agitators, but they were storming the doors. One thing that they're trying to do is create propaganda. They're trying to create videos of America at siege, America in chaos, and they are succeeding with those kind of images, because you could see, like, right after the killing, they basically got the street. They started pushing garbage canisters and it created barricades, and that was all in the signal chat. It said, okay, barricades are up. You go around this corner to get to the location. They gave each other directions and instructions on how to navigate the streets. And immediately the video of the barricades went out on this website that I document called Breakthrough News, that is one of the propaganda arms of the Marxist-Leninist group called the People's Forum, sitting in New York City, funded by an American-born billionaire living in China named Neville Roy Singham. So, these are all names that may go over people's heads. People may not track it, and I totally get that. I invite you all to read the article so that you can just see how it's all laid out. But the bottom line is, people are smart enough to know, when something is orchestrated, right, and staged. The signs are pre-printed. The messaging is the same. And to your point about what's the objective, these groups say that they are in a new Cold War with America. They say that they are in the, quote, belly of the beast. Yeah. The beast is America to them. They say that this is the new, quote, empire that must be dismantled. What is it that they believe? I mean, they have very sincerely held beliefs in the Marxist-Leninist system of governance. I've talked to them for hours, and they believe that they are doing noble work because they believe that the capitalist system has failed people. Now, they are also funded in part by malign foreign interests that want to see America weakened on the global stage. And so this is perhaps very accurately described as a new Cold War, because this is a global war, really, and about America standing. Greenland enters into it, Venezuela, Israel. It's all these geopolitical fights that we think wouldn't matter otherwise to the United States, but they do, because they all represent the encroachment of this Marxist-Leninist system in those countries also, because Venezuela was run by a socialist Marxist-Leninist. They want to get the Philippines. They want to get South Korea. There's just a global ambition that's also at play.
So when you're observing this, Asra, and we'll let you go after this question, but you're talking about foreign investment. I'm sure there's some domestic investment in this unrest right here, right now. I keep hearing Governor Walz, Mayor Frey talk about, the people of Minneapolis just want their home to be safe and secure. They're acting as though the unrest there, these are the people who are walking out of their front door onto their front lawn and joining this movement to restore some civility to their neighborhood. Do you anticipate that the protesters that are there in Minneapolis causing this unrest and leading this signal chat that's got like 1,000 people in it, are these people from Minneapolis, or are these people who have descended upon Minneapolis?
Oh, they are both within Minneapolis, and they are, exports that have come in. They are imports that have come in. This is unfortunately a political battle too, and what has happened is that these socialist Marxist groups have now aligned with traditionally democratic groups like Indivisible and MoveOn.org that, we've associated more with Democratic Party politics, because they are all aligning against the Trump administration. So they have now this common enemy, and unfortunately what is being lost is the bigger question of how does America stand, in the world, and it's almost as if we're creating, the propaganda for America's enemies on our own, channels like X and Instagram, and unfortunately, I don't see this abating. These groups are highly organized. I've covered the insurgency in Afghanistan and the Taliban, and they are parallel in their control and coordination to those kind of organizations. They embed within communities. That's their tactic. And so in Afghanistan, we fought something called counterinsurgency, and unfortunately, those are the same tactics that national security experts say that we've got to apply now in the United States.
Well, Asra Nomani, we're going to continue to follow your work and coverage of this. We hope you'll come back. It doesn't seem as though that it's going to die down anytime soon. We know the White House is speaking about a reaction right now, so we're going to get to that. But Asra, please come back. We would love to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all your great questions. I appreciate it.
Take care. We look forward to talking to you again. Senior editor of investigations at Fox News Digital. She's also the author of Woke Army, the Red-Green Alliance that is destroying America's freedom. I encourage you to look into that book as well if you want to learn more about the predicate for where we are right now in Minneapolis, but of course the foreign influence, the domestic agitation influence that exists here as well from a financing standpoint. This stuff is deep, and there are plants, people who are travelers across the country who are invested in this, but there are also people who are locals who want to see ICE gone. They've been convinced by the people there in their own town, in their own state, that this is a bad thing. A lot of us disagree and think it's a good thing. We're going to come back and listen to what the White House is saying about this in just a minute. Don't go away. Retirement Advisory Group, excited to be attending our first of the 2026 year, February 17th. We're going to do another event. It's exciting. The Doubletree Chesterfield, right off 64 West and Chesterfield Parkway. This is a new location. 314-993-9494. 314-993-9494. Come visit us at the Retirement Advisory Group educational event, February 17th at 6:30 p.m. at the Doubletree in Chesterfield. If you have questions about your retirement, if you want to know more about how the Retirement Advisory Group can help you, can guide you, this is a free event, and we would love to see you there. I'll be there on Tuesday, February 17th, and I'll get to know you a little bit. I show up at 6 o'clock. The event starts at 6:30. He doesn't take longer than 45 minutes to tell you what he can do to help you transition into retirement with confidence, with peace of mind, with the tools that you need to have in place in order to do it confidently. Reserve your spot at 314-993-9494. It's free, so get your spot reserved today, retirementkey.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. My best advice to you when hiring a lawyer for your injury case is simple. If you know court personnel, ask them who they'd hire. They know. If you know an insurance adjuster, ask them. They know. And then ask them about us. Ask them about Morgan & Morgan. They know. I look forward to talking to you soon. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, for the people. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hi, it's Mark Cox inviting you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland, Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and then 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. From the cobblestone streets to the postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps, we're going to explore the Swiss capital of Bern and lovely Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. We'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace, and then Mirabelle Gardens featured in The Sound of Music. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details. The flights, the meals, the hotels, the local experiences. All you have to do is have the time of your life.
Hey, can you guys hear me on the YouTube right now? Hold on a second. How about now? Can you guys hear me? Comment if you can hear me. Did I turn off the show? And can you hear me? Hello, hello. Somebody comment. Tell me you can. Can they hear? Mark Anderson says yes. Guys, listen. I know, Ender, you can hear me the whole time, but this is just for you guys. The radio is still happening in the background. Guys, I have to do this fundraiser this week, and I am looking right now. We open up the fundraiser starting today. I have one donation of $25, and I got to get to $15,000. And I have a ton of news to cover, so I can't really emphasize this as much as I would like to. So right now, hey, Ryan, point to the QR code and that's up here. Point to it. That way, come on, give me a little floor, some jazz hands. Give me some Tim Walz jazz hands. Come on, close. There you go. If you screenshot that, it'll go to the donation link. You can also text Annie26 to 41444. Make a $5 donation if that's what you got. But please help me get to $15,000. So this is my personal invitation to you guys. And, if we do okay, then maybe we'll this week do some. You can talk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
30 seconds, Brian.
Yeah, radio is still happening here. They can see you.
Yes.
It's not a secret.
We don't want to interrupt.
We interrupt each other all the time. Anyway, please help me. I'm scared that we're gonna be embarrassed about not making enough donations. So figure out a way. I want to announce the number of donors that we have. So if you got $5 to spare, that's fine. Okay, back to the radio. Thanks for listening.
Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA.
All right, you are listening to the radio. We are talking to the live stream right now.
Shh, that's a secret.
About something very important that's going on this week. It's about Lisa. It's about Lutheran school scholarships. Annie's got all the details. But if you were to log on and to see the YouTube page right now, or Facebook, the stream, wherever you pick that up, you'd see a QR code, and that is where you can direct.
Can I simplify it for the people who are not? Just text Annie26.
Okay.
Annie26, ANNIE26.
Annie26.
To 41444.
And
I want to I'd like to get at least 20 donors today. 20. I'm asking thousands of people in St. Louis right now. I just need 20 donors. Right now we have one. We just opened it up. We've got one donor. I need to get to $15,000. So if we just get one more donor of $15,000, that would take care of it.
Okay.
But that's probably not going to happen. If you would consider donating, text Annie26 to 41444. We would be forever grateful. This is an opportunity to provide scholarships to Illinois and Missouri kids to be able to attend Lutheran schools. And it's the Annie Fry Show Scholarship. So you're making this is us. It's all on us, which is really scary.
see how much better you were at that than I was? Good job.
Oh, I don't know.
Annie26 to 41444.
Nailed it.
All right, well, I've got it written down now.
I'm going to do great at the next time check. 1242.
Oh, we just got another supporter. Thank
you. 1243. This time
Libby.
check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Still leading 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
All right, we are going to get straight to the coverage from the White House. This is going to be kind of an unordinary day because of the news that's coming out regarding Minneapolis and the tensions that are significantly rising there. Carolyn Leavitt is taking to the podium. She's been talking for a while. We're going to bring you to the beginning of her statement. She's going to answer some questions here. Carolyn Leavitt from the White House press briefing room.
Thank you for that. Thanks for coming in on a snow day for the rest of the government in the country. And as much of the country feels the impacts of that winter storm, President Trump continues to monitor the situation closely, and he has remained in constant contact with FEMA and emergency responders. President Trump also quickly approved 12 federal emergency disaster declarations within 24 hours for the states of Arkansas, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia, enabling these states to access critical federal resources to supplement their response efforts if needed. These declarations will help state-led efforts of turning power back on, clearing roads for emergency services, and keeping communities safe. The White House will continue to correspond directly with governors and local officials in the coming days, especially in those states that were harshly impacted by this storm. I would also like to address the chaotic scenes in Minnesota over the weekend. Nobody in the White House, including President Trump, wants to see people getting hurt or killed in America's streets. This includes Renee Good, Alex Pretti, the brave men and women of federal law enforcement, and the many Americans who have been victimized at the hands of illegal alien criminals. Saturday's shooting remains under active investigation by Homeland Security Investigations and the FBI. The Customs and Border Protection is also conducting their own internal review. As President Trump said yesterday, the administration is reviewing everything with respect to the shooting, and we will let that investigation play out. But let's be clear about the circumstances which led to that moment on Saturday. This tragedy occurred as a result of a deliberate and hostile resistance by Democrat leaders in Minnesota. For weeks, Governor Walz and the Mayor Jacob Fry and other elected Democrats were spreading lies about federal law enforcement officers who are risking their lives daily to remove the worst criminal illegal aliens from our streets: murderers, rapists, pedophiles, human traffickers, and gang members. Governor Walz and Mayor Fry have shamefully blocked local and state police from cooperating with ICE, actively inhibiting efforts to arrest violent criminals. They have also used their platforms to encourage left-wing agitators to stalk, record, confront, and obstruct federal officers who are just trying to lawfully perform their duties, which has created dangerous situations threatening both these officers and the general public and Minnesotans alike. This is precisely what unfolded in Minneapolis on Saturday morning. Obstructing federal law enforcement and inciting violence against officers is wrong and illegal. This used to be a universally accepted position in the United States. Amid the hysteria, we must remember how we got here to this moment today and what this Democrat opposition is about. Former President Joe Biden and the Democrats opened America's borders for 4 years, inviting tens of millions of illegal aliens from all over the world to flood into our country. Among them, violent criminals who terrorized American communities and have inflicted devastating, permanent pain and harm on law-abiding Americans and their families. Yet we never saw outrage from Democrats or their allies in the liberal media over these horrifying crimes against U.S. citizens. The pain of American angel families was ignored and dismissed because it undermined the Democrat narrative. Innocent Americans like Jocelyn Nungray, Laken Riley, and Rachel Morin are just a few of the many victims savagely murdered by illegal alien criminals. Earlier this month, an illegal alien from Mexico with a long criminal history who came into our country under Joe Biden's administration threw a baseball-sized stone at a school bus carrying children in New Jersey and fractured the skull of an 8-year-old innocent child. President Trump promised accountability to these American families by securing the border, deporting every illegal alien who has committed crimes, especially and most importantly, violent crimes. Nearly 80 million Americans voted for him to deliver on that very promise, and he is. As the duly elected president, the president is fulfilling the will of the people by arresting and removing these threats from our country in cities from Los Angeles to New York, and yes, Minneapolis. Yet Democrat leaders in Minnesota with sanctuary city policies have actively defied federal immigration law and the will of the people. And as a result of that defiance, 2 Minnesotans have now tragically lost their lives on the streets of Tim Walz's state. It is President Trump's hope and wish and demand for the resistance and chaos to end today. That's why President Trump spoke with Governor Walz directly this morning, and he has outlined a clear and simple path to restoring law and order in Minnesota. Number 1, Governor Walz, Mayor Frey, and all Democrat leaders should turn over all criminal illegal aliens currently incarcerated in their prisons and jails to federal authorities, along with any illegal aliens with active warrants or known criminal histories for immediate deportation. Number 2, state and local law enforcement must agree to turn over all illegal aliens who are arrested by local police. And then thirdly, local police must assist federal law enforcement in apprehending and detaining illegal aliens who are wanted for crimes, especially violent crimes. If Governor Walz and Mayor Frey implement these common sense cooperative measures that I will add have already been implemented in nearly every single other state across the country, Customs and Border Patrol will not be needed to support ICE on the ground in Minnesota. ICE and local law enforcement can peacefully work together, as they are effectively doing in so many other states and jurisdictions. Additionally, President Trump is calling on the United States Congress to immediately pass legislation ending sanctuary cities once and for all. American cities should be safe sanctuaries for law-abiding citizens only, not for dangerous illegal alien criminals who broke our nation's laws and do not belong here. We hope Governor Walz will do the right thing and continue to work with President Trump to keep the American people safe following their call this morning. Americans overwhelmingly want exactly what President Trump is delivering: strong borders and strict immigration enforcement against the worst illegal aliens, of which there are still hundreds of thousands to deport from the interior of our country. The most peaceful way to carry out this vital public safety mission is for Republicans and Democrats to do it together, and for state and local law enforcement to work together with federal law enforcement. We want to let cops be cops. You wouldn't know this continues to be a very popular policy position from the biased media coverage over the course of the last few days, but polling shows huge support for this exact thing President Trump is calling for. More than 80% of Americans favor deporting illegal aliens convicted of violent crimes. A country unable to deport criminals who enter it illegally is no country at all. The open borders agenda of Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, and the Democrats was already on the ballot on November 5th, 2024, and it was resoundingly rejected. President Trump will never back down from his promise to deport violent criminal illegal aliens and make America safe again, and he welcomes all cooperation in that effort. With that, I will answer your questions. And Jordan Conradson, why don't you kick us off today? Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Caroline. Jordan Conradson from Gateway Pundit. I have a few questions. First, with respect to the shooting in Minneapolis, we're seeing massive outrage from mainstream media and the left, but I'm just wondering, where was that outrage when Ashley Babbitt, an Air Force veteran, was executed by Capitol Police Officer Michael Byrd, who she posed no threat to in the U.S. Capitol?
Well, you raised a very important point, which I also believed I just raised as well in those opening remarks, in that there has no doubt been selective outrage by the liberal biased media in picking and choosing victims and highlighting their stories. And as I've said, President Trump does not want any Americans to lose their lives in the streets of America and in American communities across the country. He believes what happened on Saturday is a tragedy, but every life is equal to President Trump, and that's why the lives of Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungray continue to matter to him and be an utmost priority to him to this very day. And it's unfortunate that we did not see the same type of sensationalist media coverage over the tragic deaths of those innocent American women and girls across the country as we are in the wake of this tragedy that took place on Saturday. Gabe. Sure, go ahead.
I want to get your response to this. The Arizona Attorney General, just days before this shooting in Minneapolis, she seemingly encouraged rioters to go out, shoot, and kill ICE agents. And I'll quote her here. She said, "If you reasonably believe your life is in danger and you're in the house or in your car or on your property, you can defend yourself with lethal force." And she said that you can't tell if ICE agents are law enforcement or imposters, and it becomes an issue of whether you reasonably believe they were law enforcement. Do you have a response to that, and does the White House believe that she should be held accountable for these remarks?
Such dangerous rhetoric, as I pointed out, is exactly what has brought us to this position today, where you have elected Democrat officials across the country who are encouraging left-wing agitators and crazy people to go out and unlawfully obstruct lawful immigration enforcement. Again, these brave men and women of ICE and Border Patrol and the federal enforcement are just trying to do their jobs to enforce our nation's immigration laws and to go after the worst of the worst in this country. I would encourage everyone in this room, and I would encourage the Arizona Attorney General to look at the video of an ICE agent in Minneapolis. He was approached by left-wing agitators who were honking their horns and were screaming slurs at him, and he rolled down his window and he said, "What are you doing? I am out here trying to catch a child predator, somebody who has convicted crimes against an innocent child, and you are trying to obstruct me from doing my job." This rhetoric against ICE, comparing them to Nazi Gestapo, Donald Trump's police force, is despicable, it is shameful, and it is precisely what has led to the escalation of tensions in Minneapolis and in other places across the country. Gabe, go ahead.
Be looking into her for justifying violence?
I would defer you to the Department of Justice on that.
Thank you, Caroline. Regarding Minnesota, on Saturday, the Department of Homeland Security posted that Pretti looks like he wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. Stephen Miller on Saturday posted that, or called Pretti a would-be assassin. Why did administration officials jump to conclusions before an investigation had even been conducted?
Well, look, this has obviously been a very fluid and fast-moving situation throughout the weekend. As for President Trump, whom I speak for, he has said that he wants to let the investigation continue and let the facts lead in this case.
With regards to the deployment of Tom Homan to Minneapolis, should the deployment of Mr. Homan to Minneapolis be seen as a sign that the president is dissatisfied with how the officials on the ground had handled the incident?
No, Mr. Homan is doing an exceptional job, and he has been working with Secretary Noem and President Trump over the course of the last year. Secretary Noem still has the utmost confidence and trust of the President of the United States, and she's continuing to oversee the entire Department of Homeland Security and all of the immigration enforcement that's taking place across the whole entire country. Of course, Secretary Noem is also in charge of FEMA, and we are in the wake of a brutal winter storm where hundreds of thousands of Americans have been impacted by that. So Borders Are Homan is in a unique position to drop everything and go to Minnesota to continue having these productive conversations with state and local officials. And I know that he's catching a plane in just a few hours to do just that at the request of the president. Jennifer.
On Saturday's shooting, has the president been briefed, and have you been briefed on specific details of the shooting? How many shots were fired? How many guns discharged? And I mean, did the protester's gun go off, or only the officer's guns? Do you have any of those details?
Again, the investigation is continuing, Jennifer, and we will let the facts lead, and we will let the facts play out in this investigation. I do know that HSI and FBI are conducting interviews with those that were involved and the agents who were involved in this unfortunate tragedy on Saturday.
Are they keeping the president up to date on all those details?
The president is obviously very much on the ball with respect to this investigation. I think he's made that quite clear with the various statements that you've seen him put out, and also the 4 points that the president has outlined as well to Governor Walz, and to encourage him to cooperate with ICE and with the administration. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. To follow on Gabe's question, Secretary Noem said Alex Pretti committed an act of domestic terrorism. Stephen Miller labeled Pretti a domestic terrorist. Does the president agree with them?
Look, as I've said, I have not heard the president characterize Mr. Pretti in that way. However, I have heard the president say he wants to let the facts in the investigation lead itself.
Was he alarmed to hear his top officials referring to him in that way, rushing to that judgment?
Danny, go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. On Stephen Miller's comments, will Stephen Miller be apologising to the family of Alex Pretti for calling him, quotes, an assassin who tried to murder federal agents, despite the fact that, as you say, this is still under investigation?
Look, again, this incident remains under investigation, and nobody here at the White House, including the President of the United States, wants to see Americans hurt or killed and losing their lives in American streets. And we mourn for the parents. As a mother myself, of course, I cannot imagine the loss of life, especially losing one's child. And that same empathy from the President goes for the parents of angel families, and parents of victims of illegal alien crime across our country as well. And that's exactly why the President continues to be wholeheartedly committed to deporting the worst of the worst criminals from our country. Why don't we go to the back? Kelly.
Does the president believe that the killing, though, was a mistake? Has he expressed that at all?
Again, the president has said, you know, we have to review it, and this investigation needs to continue, and he's letting the facts on the investigation lead itself.
So you've been listening to Carolyn Levitt talk about the White House's position, including the president's position, on the death of Alex Pretti. The YouTube live chat poll for today: have you made up your mind regarding the death of Minneapolis protester and nurse Alex Pretti? You heard Carolyn Levitt right there say that the president is not ready to label Alex Pretti a domestic terrorist the way Stephen Miller has already been out there doing. And Carolyn Levitt reiterated that the president said he would like to let all of the facts bear out. The White House is not going in on this issue the way the politicos out there would like you to think that they are. Steve Moore and Will Chamberlain in the next hour. Don't go away.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777.
The White House calls it a tragedy. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News, after a second deadly shooting over the weekend during immigration enforcement operations in Minnesota.
Nobody in the White House, including President Trump, wants to see people getting hurt or killed in America's streets. This includes Renee Good, Alex Pretti, the brave men and women of federal law enforcement, and the many Americans who have been victimized at the hands of illegal alien criminals.
Spokeswoman Caroline Levitt says during a call with Minnesota's governor today, the president outlined several steps state and local law enforcement could take to cooperate with the removal of criminal illegal aliens already in state custody or who have active warrants or known criminal histories. The Minnesota governor's office describes the call as productive while appealing for a reduction of federal agents in Minnesota and for impartial investigations of the shooting. President Trump announcing earlier that he's sending border czar Tom Homan to Minnesota to oversee operations.
There's a lot of internal frustration among members of DHS, specifically Customs and Border Protection, ICE, also Department of Justice over the killing of Alex Pretti, the second American citizen to die this month at the hands of law enforcement. That frustration is growing.
Fox's David Spunt, several immigration enforcement sources telling Fox the frustration stems from DHS officials publicly describing Pretti as a domestic terrorist. Frigid conditions across much of the country following a winter storm that dumped more than a foot of snow on 18 states, knocking out power in the southeast with ice weighing down power lines.
Our crews can be working and they have their job done, and as they're leaving, trees fall and break the various set of lines that they just repaired, so they have to repeat the job again. So it can be a bit frustrating.
Chris Jones, CEO of Middle Tennessee Electric, saying crews are working as fast as they can. Airlines also in recovery mode with more than 40,000 flights disrupted since Friday. America is listening to Fox News.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday. Let's do this Monday. ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
We remain in the deep freeze. Lots of sunshine out there, but don't let it fool you. Bitter cold temperatures, 16 for the high, wind chills 0 or below. Doesn't take much wind to get us to that point. Clear skies tonight, 6. That's
right.
Hey, dipping in here real quick. Be quiet, Dave. There we go. Dipping in here real quick, and we're up to 5 donations. Thank you to Libby and to Dale, and let me see my notes here. Some anonymous ones as well. Pam, also, thank you for supporting us. We're over $100. Just $14,889 to go. Easy. Ryan's going to take care of the rest, so ease him up a little bit. Everybody who's donated, thank you. And we hope we get some more, and we're getting back on the air right now.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio. I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. We just got done listening to Carolyn Levitt speaking from the White House podium, taking some questions there as well. The YouTube poll for today, have you made up your mind regarding the death of Minneapolis protester and nurse Alex Pretti? Yes or no? Sounds like President Trump is not willing to go on record yet to say that he has made up his mind, that they are waiting for the facts to bear out and to establish an understanding really of what is of what's still to be determined there. So we've got a situation where we want to understand what the facts are. And when I'm asking you this question, if you've made up your mind regarding the death of Minneapolis protester and nurse Alex Pretti, I'm seeing a lot of the same things. It's like SSDD, you know the old phrase? I don't know, you know what that means? Does everybody
Yes,
know?
I do.
Everybody knows what that means.
I had to think for a half second, but yeah.
Same sugar, different day.
Different day.
On both sides of the aisle of people who are rushing to judgment saying that Alex Pretti is completely innocent and he was murdered, there is the same sort of rush to suggest that Alex Pretti got exactly what he deserved. And I'm not ready to be there yet. I'm a firm no. I have not determined yet where I am on this position, but I am curious to see how you folks all shape up regarding this weekend and the coverage. I've seen a lot of people coming out of the woodwork on this issue on social media. I would say that I've probably culled my Facebook feed quite a bit to not see people who get really worked up about these types of political issues. And the second that you come onto social media, and I don't do this myself from my side, granted I have a show, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people unfollowed me on social media a long time ago. Because I support President Trump. I don't put that stuff on my personal social media, on my personal social media stuff. But I've seen people coming out today that's like, if you support Trump, if you support ICE, and then there's a lot of F words. And I'm like, well, you don't want me to be here, so I'm just going to see myself out. I'm not in a position right now where I need to absorb. Like, I don't need to sit here and be talked to like that. When nobody, like, it's just a personal thing. It's a personal experience. So you just kind of maneuver through the social media world and try to not dislike people that you normally would love and care about in your life without having ever shared words about anything. Don't lose real human soul-to-soul relationships over things that are put up on social media. Just guard your heart and care for the people who are in your orbit. That's what we need to do. I want to talk a little bit about the scholarship fund that we have going today. And we're going to speak with Will Chamberlain. Oh, boy, more donations coming in. We're going to speak with Will Chamberlain in about a little over 20 minutes right now about the legal situation unfolding in Minneapolis, what he thinks about it, what ICE is doing, what the protesters are doing, how manufactured these protests are, but also very costly, of course. Now 2 lives lost because people have been aggressively working to insert themselves into the lawful enforcement that is taking place in Minneapolis to find illegal immigrants who are here. We want to tell you this entire week. It's National School Choice Week. So tomorrow we're going to be speaking with Corey DeAngelis, who is at the forefront of school choice, advocating for school choice across the country. We're going to be talking about the Big Beautiful Bill and the different governors who have opted into one of the provisions in the Big Beautiful Bill that will effectively take place in 2027, but we're watching governors choose to opt in right now. Last number I remember hearing, I think, was 22 governors, but I'm not 100% positive. What they did in the Big Beautiful Bill is up to $1,700. Like if you donated $1,700 to an approved scholarship-bearing entity, so a place that would provide scholarships, tuition assistance to local kids to go to the school of their choice, as long as it's an approved entity, up to $1,700 of your donations would be a direct credit to your tax bill, federal tax bill. So you can choose, like if you have a $1,700 tax obligation at the end of the year, most of us would, you can basically choose, do I want to give that $1,700 to the federal government, or do I want to give that $1,700 to a local scholarship-bearing entity to help kids in the area get a school of their choice?
Also, I want to point out that the difference between a tax deduction and a tax credit
Huge.
is pretty big.
Huge.
So a tax credit, you want the credit one.
Yes. It's like basically getting a gift card.
Yeah, right back to you.
Up to $1,700 to your tax bill. So this is an enormous step in the right direction for school choice. Thank you, Trump administration, and all of those in Congress who passed the Big Beautiful Bill and got that done. Illinois has not opted into it yet. We'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow with Corey DeAngelis. But we work really hard on this show, and it is a heart passion project for me to make sure that you understand the amazing Lutheran schools that are in the bi-state region here in Missouri and Illinois. Now, if you're listening to us outside of the bi-state region, you know that there are Lutheran schools all across the country, but we have an amazing concentration of them here. There are 34 elementary Lutheran schools in the area, and this is such an incredible opportunity for you to consider for your child or for your grandchild an alternative to public school. However, I will add that there is a tuition obligation involved in that. So you're paying property taxes. Tell me about it. My property taxes are outrageous in the state of Illinois. I'm paying enormous property taxes. I think it's like over 75% of what you pay, at least in Illinois, property taxes goes to the education system.
Yeah, I think so. I remember looking at the pie graph and thinking, man, that is a huge portion of it. I couldn't remember exactly what it was.
You send your children to a parochial school, not a Lutheran school, but you have a faith-first education in place for your kids, and you know how valuable that is, Ryan. My kids go to Lutheran schools, and yes, I pay tuition to send my kids to a Lutheran school, and I pay that on top of my property taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I will never for the life of me understand anybody who, if I'm paying $8,000 a year plus in property taxes, with all of the money that's going to the education system, why I can't use those dollars while I am paying for the educated public. Why do my kids not get the benefit of my education dollars? I am benefiting the public school system by not putting my kids in it, by leaving a desk empty, by bringing the teacher-to-student ratio down for the other kids who choose to want to go to a public school. A lot of people would choose that if they could afford to go to a parochial or a private or a charter school or whatever. They'd still choose the public school because they like it. The idea is that you get to choose what is best for you, And the public school system and those who rely on it just for sheer existence are very, very allergic to the idea that you would be able to use your tax dollars to benefit your children. That, to me, is the theft of thefts when it comes to taxation. That the money that I'm paying into the system is disallowed from benefiting my own children based on what I feel is best for my own children. Now, in that advocacy, I'm not saying that when my kids are grown and out of the school system that I don't want to, but that I shouldn't have to help fund an educated public. That's an entirely different conversation. But why on earth should the dollars that I'm paying into the system not benefit my own kids? That makes zero sense. Now, with that being said, Lutheran schools in the area that are incredible. And if you go check out, I feel so bad. There were so many Lutheran schools that had open houses scheduled Sunday.
Oh.
Not only were those open houses closed, but most churches, a ton of, I saw some that were open. A lot of people who did worship online but didn't, like if you wanted to come, you could have, but there's a lot of online component to what people were doing this weekend. If you're interested in touring a Lutheran school near you, please go to lesastl.org, lesastl.org, and find one near you. And if you go to one and you're like, gosh, I really kind of like it, but I don't know, tour a few because there are so many around here and they're very different. They're very unique. They're, in many cases, very financially supported by the churches that they're attached to. So the tuition is actually very accessible. So we are doing this week. We are doing our tuition drive, our scholarship drive for the Annie Fry Show Scholarship. And last year, we raised over $16,000. And then we had, I think it was a $10,000 match. This scholarship, which is endowed, is pushing $30,000 total. But we are pushing to try to get another $15,000 this year, in National Lutheran Schools Week. I've got donations coming in right now. I have donations coming in that are $5, $25, $52, all different amounts. But I'm asking you to please consider being a part of this. This is an Annie Fry Show thing. This is not like, you're not going to hear the whole station talking about this. This is not something that is, I'm just supporting something else that's being done. This is really just, Annie, how would you like to try to establish a scholarship on behalf of the show? And I'm like, I would love that. And then I'm falling on my knees praying that you all want to help me do this because a $15,000 target is huge. And, if we fall short of that, if we don't make it quite to $15,000, if we raise $10,000, that's still a blessing. But I'm putting myself out there this week, and I hope that you will stand by me and help me make this type of an education possible for kids around the area. It's so incredibly important. We have 9 people who have donated so far. We need to get, I don't know how many donors we need. Little donors are amazing. I want each and every one of you who feel like you can participate to whatever capacity you can. But be a part of it. We'll have some fun guests this week as well so that we can kind of bring it home. I know that there's some Lutherans that have benefited from Lutheran education. There are also so many people who I know who are not Lutherans, who went to a Lutheran school because it was the best education that was provided, that wasn't public, that focused on Jesus, a Christ-centered environment. They're just incredible. So if you have questions about a Lutheran school near you, message me on the Annie Fry Show Facebook page. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know about so many of the different Lutheran schools and setups that are in the bi-state region. I'd love to help you answer some questions. But please consider donating to this scholarship. So how you can do it right now is you can text Annie26 to 41444. Annie26 to 41444. We've got 9 supporters so far. We're over $200. Anybody wants to come help me get to 15,000? I would love your support and be very grateful. Bless you for that. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get to Wiggins America. We pushed that back a little bit from 1245 so we could listen to Carolyn Levitt from the White House. Wiggins America next on the Annie Fry Show. Don't go away. Todd Sivia, Sivia Law, also in Missouri and Illinois. If you want to visit Sivia Law in person, you get that strategy session scheduled. And reminder, I'll give you the number here in a minute. The first 10 people to call and donate to schedule your strategy session, you're going to get your strategy session fee waived. That's a $300 value that you're not going to have to pay. You're going to be able to sit down and start that conversation about your estate planning, elder law concerns that you have with Todd Sivia, the best in the bi-state area. Those locations in Missouri, in Wentzville, and in Creve Coeur. However, if you want to visit Todd Sivia at Sivia Law in Illinois, visit Edwardsville, East Dalton, Swansea, Centralia, even Mount Vernon. You can book your strategy session today by calling 833-995-WILL. That's 833-995-WILL. Talk to them about what you were trying to do. Mention my name and get that strategy session free if you're one of the first 10 people to call 833-995-WILL. Online at civialaw.com.
If you need a garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are open now for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. A winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of your choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorstlouis.com.
What if every time you spent money, you saved money too? With Achieve It Checking from Together Credit Union, you can do just that. Every debit card purchase is rounded up to the nearest dollar, and the spare change goes right into your savings. And here's the best part. Together Credit Union boosts your progress by matching qualifying savings, up to $8 a month. It's a free checking account that helps you achieve more automatically. Learn more, or better yet, enroll today at togethercu.org. Together Credit Union. Federally insured by NCUA.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Drury Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Drury Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Wiggins! Monday Roundup! This here's the wildest ride in the wilderness!
All right, the Monday Roundup, things you might have missed over the weekend, although you were probably locked into your house with not a whole lot to do. So maybe you saw.
Maybe you guys should do this segment.
Yeah, maybe this is on you.
Tell us what we missed.
If I found things that you missed, then really, I'm amazed because you had some time this weekend.
I thought you were going to say you were amazing.
Well, I'm amazing. That's the way I'm starting this segment.
Okay.
All right, the first story is that a Maine factory, and is the only one in the United States, that makes Lincoln Logs is closing.
Lincoln Logs are going away?
Well, they're not sure because the domestic production of Lincoln Logs is going away, but because of the tariffs, they're looking to try to keep that in the United States somehow. It says a wood products factory in Burnham, Maine, that makes Lincoln Logs along with golf tees and wooden cigar tips is scheduled to shut down on April 14th, 2026, marking the end of domestic production for the classic toy Lincoln Logs. The manufacturer or the toy maker Basic Fun is looking to license Lincoln Log to some other manufacturer, but they are having a hard time finding somebody to make Lincoln Logs. Did you ever play with these when you were a kid?
Yeah, they were my parents. I think they were like the OG Lincoln Logs, though, because the ones that I played with in my grandparents' basement were from my parents' generation.
They were old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They came in the tin.
Uh-huh.
And they smelled a certain way.
I don't remember the smell.
It's funny that you said,
It wasn't a bad smell. It just smelled like
Kinda
the
piney?
product of the wood inside the tin, but it was like kind of like a tin, but also cardboard.
Was it a good smell?
It wasn't a bad smell.
It wasn't a bad
It was
smell.
a Lincoln Log smell.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the exact same experience I had. OG Lincoln Logs at my grandparents' house.
I played with Lincoln Logs a little bit as a kid. My kids have Lincoln Logs, and I don't know if maybe they were mine from when I was a kid. They've migrated back into our house or what. But I find that Lincoln Logs are more nostalgic fun than they are actual kids playing with them now, because I think they predate Legos and they predate other things that kids are more inclined to play and build with now. You know, Magnetiles. That's a new one.
Magnetiles.
That my kids play with like crazy. Yeah. So they had Lincoln Logs, but they never really they preferred Legos and other stuff, the newer stuff. So, but it is a very nostalgic moment if they are not able to continue to make Lincoln Logs, especially if they're not able to make them in the United States. It's kind of a moment for us here. All right, next one is Alex Honnold of U.S. chose a glass skyscraper in Taiwan as his latest climb target. I'm sure this was all over you guys' social media feeds, but daredevil climber Alex Honnold took extreme travel to new heights on Saturday, January 24th, as he scaled the Taipei 101 skyscraper in Taiwan with no ropes or protective equipment, conquering the building's most challenging element, the bamboo boxes. Did you guys see any of this?
I did.
No.
I watched. It was on Netflix.
It was on Netflix.
Live streaming
Live.
and they had these formations on the side of the building called dragons. And I watched him get up to the first dragon, and then I sat there and I thought to myself, I could watch this man fall off this building and die. And I'm not interested in that. And so after that, I turned it off and I went and watched something else.
Well, it was absolutely remarkable. I watched the highlights. I didn't watch it live. But the 2-hour event took place at 8 p.m. Eastern Time in the United States. Before the climb, he appeared very calm, at least on the surface. And then he started climbing.
Wouldn't it be really funny if he were completely like out of his mind?
What am I doing here?
It's the dumbest
gonna be
thing
nuts.
I've ever done.
Oh, what was I thinking?
Yeah, he appeared calm. Okay. He appeared calm and stupid. Sometimes those things go hand in hand.
Before the climb, Alex appeared very idiotic and examining the contract to see why he had done it. No, when he got high, you could see that the wind was blowing.
He got high. Okay. That explains it. He seems super chill. And amazing that he could do it with one hand and 2 feet and a bag of Cheetos.
And yeah, I was going to say, he had the munchies the whole time.
It's the dust that he's dipping his hand in the back.
But you could see the wind blowing his shirt, and when he got high enough, you're going, oh my gosh, didn't even think about that part of it. But the climb was broadcast on Netflix with, Brad, this was just for you, a 10-second delay, just in case. Just in case. But he made it to the top. It was pretty impressive.
Kind of seems like if you're going to go to the heights to do something like that if you fall, I don't know why that should be a part of it.
Yeah,
Because-
that's the point of watching is the danger element.
But also, all right, fellow dumb kids, this is why you don't do that.
Yeah, if you got people watching from all over the world and the guy falls, you have a whole generation that goes, not interested in that profession.
Yeah, and until then, they were going to dabble in it.
Watching it.
What do you got next?
Right. Next one is good news. Scientists have discovered a way to regrow cartilage and possibly stop arthritis. The $65 billion per year global arthritis industry is in for a bit of a scare, as scientists at Stanford just announced that they have figured out how to regrow healthy, functioning cartilage and maybe end arthritis forever. The treatment involves injecting a protein related to aging and resulted in brand new shock-absorbing cartilage growing back between the joints. It also stopped arthritis from developing after ACL tears. So this is very, very groundbreaking, very exciting. They're already looking at possibly turning it into a pill, although they've not done that yet. And the catch is they've only tested this on living mice, but they have also tested it on human tissue in labs, but not on actual humans yet. But it appears very, very promising. And the older I get, the more I'm like, you know what? 10 years ago, I wouldn't have cared about an arthritis story. Now,
both my ACLs torn. And
have you?
Yes, I've had that surgery. I've got arthritis from it, and I've got cartilage issues. So I'm very interested in this.
Last one is admin night is a new trend that is sweeping America. Procrastinators get together and tackle mind-numbing chores together in a party.
Oh, my God.
I think this is fantastic. They get their to-do list together, and they say, you know what, this is overwhelming. Let's all get together and basically just get online and knock stuff out, pay bills, and crap like that. It's one of the most productive.
I bet they call it an adulting party.
No, it's called admin night. They put on a couple movies,
So ridiculous.
get some food, and then just do things they've been meaning to do.
Guys, let's get together and pay some bills.
But it's a great trend. I mean, of all the stupid trends out there, this one, full stamp of approval.
I think this is embarrassing.
No, it's not. It's good. They're actually trying. They're getting out of their comfort zone.
No, they're not. None of
They're
those
trying
people
to
would
get
get their
together.
act together enough to create the list that they would need to schedule the date to then go to the people's houses to do the things they could have done at home in their pajamas.
Uh-huh.
Nope.
You're right. It does sound a little bit like
It's a
adulting.
lot of work to just do things that you should do because you're grown.
Now, I will admit that while I like this trend, it's something that you're going to need to figure out how to do on your own without a party.
Yeah, good luck, folks. Come on. Grow up with us together. And if it's difficult, you just got to push through. You don't have to name it.
Thank you.
You don't have to go on social media and cry about it. You just have to pay your bill.
You do have to do it.
That's just part of the deal. You're grown. Act like it. Anyway, we're going to speak with Will Chamberlain next on the Annie Fry Show. We'll talk about what's going on in Minneapolis and his take on the developments there. And a reminder, I need your help, folks, and I need it real bad. Can you help us grow the Annie Fry Show Scholarship? We've got a tall order donation goal of $15,000 to the Annie Fry Show Scholarship. These dollars are going to help local Missouri and Illinois kids achieve that Lutheran education, that parochial school private education that they've been trying to find, all in this scholarship that you and I are going to partner together to make. All you got to do is text Annie26, Annie26, just Annie26 to 41444. Any amount counts. 4144 Annie26. Will Chamberlain on the Annie Fry Show next.
Tell me, baby. Oh, yeah. Now don't they make a medicine for heartbreak? Hey, got me pounding on my brain.
HomeShieldFoundationRepairs.com is the website. If you have a foundation concern right now, if you've got cracked concrete at your house, you need to have it fixed. You need to have it assessed by somebody who you know you can trust. That person is Matt Hayes. He's the guy you've been looking for. You've put off making that phone call because if you call them now and, if it's somebody who you don't trust or they come out and you're like, gosh, I don't know about this. Are they telling me the truth? That's a really big hindrance to making the investment, to making sure your foundation is solid, is going to last, isn't going to worsen that water in your basement. It's a huge problem. Get it solved with Matt Hayes. You can trust him. 314-271-9900. 314-271-9900. Have Matt Hayes come out and walk into your basement, stand in there and look at what you're dealing with so he can give you a tailored solution for your needs. 314-271-9900. That's 314-271-9900. Matt Hayes is the owner of this local business. It's his. He built it from the ground up, and he'd love to come take a look at your foundation. HomeShieldFoundationRepairs.com.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take DayQuil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the DayQuil.
Undo your flu symptoms with DayQuil Intense Flu. DayQuil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
DayQuil Intense Flu, the daytime coughing, aching fever under your flu medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IBW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
At Grasser Home Services, we're looking for happy plumbers to join our team. Plumbers who are polite, honest, and do the job right.
And love dogs. They must love dogs.
Plumbers who treat customers' homes with respect, care about the details, and show up on time.
Know a happy plumber who's great with dogs?
Have them call Grasser Home Services.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Hey, do you want kids to learn about Jesus right here in our area? We have an opportunity to help support that. Lutheran Elementary School Association. This is an Annie Fry Show initiative, so we are asking for your help just for this project. For us, if you're an Annie Fry Show listener, you are part of the team. We're asking you to donate by texting Annie26 to 41444. Annie26 to 41444 with your donation. And
we just got a $100 donation from Patrick. Thank you so much, Patrick.
Thanks.
Mark, $25. A lot of people donating anonymously, $25 amounts, all sorts of different amounts. But the $100 donation gets us where we need to be very quickly. So, Patrick, incredibly, thank you so much. I hope you have a blessed day.
$100 goes a long way. $1,000 if somebody wants to do that, that would be awesome today here on the first day of the week. It is 1:33. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
From the gateway to the airwaves. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Before we get to our guests, you just heard Ryan talking about the Annie Fry Show scholarship drive that we were doing this week. We have a goal of $15,000. We are $647 away from meeting our first $1,000 raised. So you can text Annie26 to 41444. Annie26 to 41444. And help us be a part of providing school choice to kids in the Illinois and Missouri area. Let's listen to Mayor Jacob Fry before we get to our guest.
Imagine if that city or that town was suddenly invaded by thousands of federal agents that do not share the values that you hold dear. Imagine if your daily routines were disrupted. The local cafe that you eat at was shut down because they're scared that their own family might get torn apart. Imagine if schools shut down and suddenly parents got to figure out what to do for daycare.
You got the mayor of Minneapolis speaking right there on what's taking place in his city. But in a lot of ways, it seems as though this is exactly what he, with his own words, have asked for in the city of Minneapolis. Let's get our guest on with us. Will Chamberlain joins us once again, senior counsel at the Article 3 Project on X at Will Chamberlain. You can go to article3project.org. Will, welcome back to the show. It's good to have you here.
Always great to be with you, Annie.
I appreciate that. You know, I'm watching the situation in Minneapolis unfold, and I really feel, you know, we'll talk about the specifics of the Alex Pretti death over the weekend here in a second, but the manufacturing of chaos in Minneapolis, you can watch that go right up to the very top of that government in the state. I mean, they are stoking this sort of chaos really without an end. The chaos seems to be the end of what these Mayor Fry and Tim Walz are trying to get.
Correct. And why are federal officials there? Because local officials are not cooperating with federal authorities on immigration. Wouldn't need federal ICE officials there if you were handing over people in courthouses and jails as opposed to on the streets. Wouldn't need so many ICE officials there if you were telling the citizens of your city not to obstruct or interfere with federal law enforcement, which seems like the most basic and obvious thing you shouldn't do. I see. I mean, we're going to get to Alex Pretti, but he's a martyr of their own creation. I mean, he's his conduct is inexplicable. It's, you know, whether, I mean, it's not clear whether or not it was perfect self-defense in the sense, I shouldn't even use that technical term, but it's not clear whether he was in fact actually pointing a gun at anybody or threatening anybody. But his action of seeking out a confrontation with ICE, physically accosting them, attempting to de-arrest someone else and obstruct ICE from arresting another person, and then violently resisting arrest himself when he was being detained while in possession of a gun is just inexplicable conduct that it should be no surprise. This is, you know, if you ever take a CCW course, it's the kind of thing that leads you to, they tell you exactly what not to do.
Yes, I have. I am licensed in the state of Illinois, which is a bit of a feat to do. Will Chamberlain speaking with us right now. I mean, I don't understand the sanctuary city status, sanctuary state status. As a resident of Illinois, we've had it for quite some time. Unfortunately, a Republican governor, if people can imagine that, we had one in Illinois, was involved in the original sanctuary state status for Illinois. But why are none of these issues happening in the states that aren't sanctuary states? It's because there is a partnership to get the bad guys when they've been arrested, not out in the streets when they're hiding in their homes or wherever they might be. How are sanctuary cities and sanctuary states legal in this country?
Well, there's a doctrine called the anti-commandeering doctrine that's been created by the Supreme Court. And the idea is that the federal government is not allowed to force states to have their law enforcement help enforce federal law. So basically the idea is if the federal government wants to do things, it doesn't, you know, states can cooperate if they want to, but states are cannot be obligated to cooperate, and they can't be coerced into doing so. That's the basic idea of the anti-commandeering doctrine. It's sort of a, you know, and it comes out of the Supreme Court's precedent about trying to respect the separation of powers between the federal government and state governments. The federal government being supreme, but because the states are sovereign, they aren't just arms of the federal government. It's the idea. However, what I think the left is sort of used to is the idea that in a world where ICE had limited resources, if you didn't cooperate with ICE and with DHS, then they were forced to kind of do things on the margins, but weren't really able to do much in your area because they just didn't have the personnel, didn't have the resources. Well, the One Big Beautiful Bill changed that. I mean, it increased the budget of DHS by 10 times or more. And the result of that is that DHS is now swimming in resources and manpower. So if the Minnesota authorities don't want to cooperate with ICE and don't want to assist in immigration enforcement, that's fine. We will just send another 1,000 people. I mean, at this point in Minneapolis, I think there's 5 times as many ICE agents as there are Minneapolis police officers, which is a demonstration of a very uncomfortable fact for the left that the sanctuary policies aren't going to work anymore. They're annoying in the sense that they require a lot of resources from the federal government, but they won't stop the federal government from enforcing immigration law. And I think that fact is leading to a lot of this agitation, provocation, and ultimately, martyrdom agitprop. I mean, it's all very Palestinian, honestly. It reminds me a lot of the conduct of Hamas and in the West Bank, this sort of aggressively antisocial behavior, and then, you forcing a response from the legitimate authorities, which you then blow up into propaganda and say, "Oh my God, we're being invaded" or something.
Yeah, you create a scenario where the most tragic thing can happen, so that you can exploit it for the next tragic thing to happen. It feels like. Will Chamberlain speaking with us here, senior counsel at the Article 3 Project. I've heard the authorities, Mayor Fry and Tim Walz, referring to ICE as not having the legal authority to have presence in Minneapolis and Minnesota the way that they are. Also, they've referred to them as untrained quite a bit. Can you speak at all to ICE's authority to carry out immigration law in Minneapolis and Minnesota? And what is this that we continue to hear about them being untrained?
So obviously they have the authority to enforce immigration law throughout the country. They're not the Border Patrol. Moreover, there's limitations on what you can do in the interior in the terms of just like random checks, but that doesn't mean you don't have jurisdiction as federal law enforcement. Clearly, otherwise, if that were true, like if the idea is that ICE could not operate in the interior of the country, then we'd have all the illegal immigrants go to Kansas or something, right? Yeah, they're nowhere near a border, can't touch them. Like that would be silly. The second point about this untrained thing, I'm pretty sure all these people have gone through training. I don't know where this untrained talking point is coming from. It also is very much in tension with the approach of the left. If these people, these federal law enforcement officials were untrained, then it's unclear why they would be encouraging their citizens to confront them, to do things like blow whistles in their ears at ear-piercing volumes, to stalk them, to follow them around. Like you say, these people are a Gestapo, and yet you're antagonizing and provoking them at every moment. Like I think your behavior and your description are in conflict.
Yes.
And anybody who's had a kid knows that adding an ear-piercing sound to the equation does not improve your judgment or decision making. Does not improve your assessment of situations. So it makes it more difficult to hear your colleagues when you're trying to if you're trying to hear your partner when you're or your wife or your spouse when you're trying to take care of your kid and there's a screaming baby in the background. It's very challenging. Makes people more impatient. Makes it harder to perceive things properly. And yet this is all they're doing. They're intentionally trying to make the jobs of ICE as hard as possible to intimidate them, and then using the fact that occasionally there's a mistake to try and throw them out of the city. It's completely antisocial, insane behavior. And everybody, if you might be sympathizing with the protesters, you shouldn't. They honestly do not deserve your sympathy because they're doing something so deeply antisocial.
Will Chamberlain speaking with us right now. Is it legal to harass law enforcement in the way that they are doing? Is this a First Amendment right that these protesters have?
No, I don't think it's legal. I think it actually fits in under the existing law, 18 U.S.C. 111. You're not allowed to forcibly impede, assault, or intimidate a law enforcement officer. And I think that, I don't know if this question has actually come up, but I think these extremely loud, rape whistles being blown in your ear, that's a physical harm to your ear. That's not just communication. That's actually trying to cause auditory damage. So the use of those whistles, I think, should be interpreted as an assault. And I think the court would agree. That said, I think we should just make it explicit in the law. I don't think we should wait to see how a court interprets this novel question. I think this should just be banned outright. These rape whistles shouldn't be. You shouldn't be able to blow an extremely loud whistle in the face of law enforcement when they're trying to do their job, especially when they're trying to arrest someone and somebody's resisting. I mean, talk about an already extremely high stress situation where you're already worried about your safety and you're dealing with the stress and the noise and the distraction of somebody blowing an extremely loud whistle in your ear.
Yeah.
It's insane that everybody just thinks everybody's just breezing past that, and everybody wants to be focus on you're saying the ICE officers are untrained and unprofessional. I'm sorry, is this just the default that they should expect? Where's the blame for the systematic attempt to make these jobs harder and to hurt these ICE officers? Apparently it's just completely not there.
What about the local law enforcement and the reports that are coming out that 911 has been told if you were called for an emergency and ICE is involved in that, I guess pretend like you didn't hear it or whatever. The mayor seems to be intentionally pulling back the local police department from helping keep the peace, while ICE is there, as you have stated, lawfully enacting the immigration law that is, if people don't like the law, that's fine, protest the law, but these are the law enforcement. You should be talking to a politician, an elected official, not these law enforcement agencies. What about the stand down orders that it appears as though Minneapolis PD has been given in this instance?
I mean, they're morally abhorrent. There's interesting questions about whether they're failing to provide equal protection of the laws to the people of Minneapolis as a result of these decisions. I mean, I think if President Trump ever decides to escalate things beyond federal law enforcement, that would be one of many reasons he could. But I want to be clear, I don't think he needs to, because you're not actually seeing. It's not that many people who are doing this stuff. It's hundreds to 1,000. So and. It's really they're trying to be annoying more than anything else, and then occasionally step over the line and break the law. This is a law enforcement matter. I think the way that the Trump administration has handled this by simply saying, "Oh, are you going to obstruct us more? We'll just send more ICE officials. We'll send more Border Patrol people. We'll just keep sending more and more federal law enforcement to make it clear that these ridiculous, antisocial, obnoxious tactics, they're basically like an "I'm not touching you" game. I'm not touching you, neener. And it just needs to be shown that this won't work and this won't work anywhere. And I think a big part of this is the administration needs to follow through here, because if this works, then it'll just be copied and replicated all over the country.
100%. The Lieutenant Attorney General, I've seen reports that is it the Lieutenant Governor of Minnesota?
Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah. I wrote that down wrong. Is part of this signal chat And part of the organization of this essential harassment that these protesters, there are certainly going to be organic protesters, people who are globbing on to what's going on there, but the organization behind what they are doing right now is incredibly calculated. And there are elected officials that seem to be part of the leadership of this. Is there any legal problem with having the lieutenant governor be a part of the signal chat, among others?
Yeah, she's part of a conspiracy to physically obstruct federal law enforcement and commit a felony. And you could make an argument that that obstruction has led to deaths. So she could spend a significant amount of time in jail if they indict her on it and demonstrate her participation in the conspiracy. Yeah, all these people are in serious legal jeopardy. The revelations of this massive chat group, people joining it, participating, people are going to have to explain themselves, their own conduct. I think there are real problems for the elected officials who are in this group chat, for really everybody in this group chat, because I mean, if they're not part of if they're not explicitly part of the conspiracy in the sense that there's evidence they made an explicit agreement, then they could probably be, nailed down on some sort of RICO thing for being part of an organization. Like you're being in this group chat, the way they're conducting themselves is like joining a resistance organization or joining an insurgency against federal authority. It's absurd that it's gotten this far.
Last question for you, Will Chamberlain, with us right now. Our YouTube poll for today is, have you made up your mind regarding the death of Minneapolis protester and nurse Alex Pretti? We heard Carolyn Levitt from the podium today say that the president himself is like, let's see what the facts are. Stephen Miller, of course, has labeled him a domestic terrorist. So there is some politicking going on, but the president himself has basically said, let's pause and see what information comes out. You've looked at all of this. You've got a legal mind about it. Have you made up your mind as to what happened yet?
I mean, I suppose I could be persuaded otherwise because it's not a complete lock and there's other better evidence that could come out. But my view, based on the evidence I've seen, it looks like lawful self-defense, mistaken self-defense, but still lawful self-defense. The reason being that, I mean, clearly the guy had a gun on him. He was violently resisting. Somebody had said gun, gun, gun. Officers are allowed to rely on the perceptions of the other officers with them. And given that it's a fluid situation and they heard gun, 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 and maybe they saw him reach for his waistband, like that would be sufficient to create a reasonable fear of the imminent use of deadly force in an officer, even if the officer was in fact mistaken about whether or not there was a gun there, right? Like the standard for lawful self-defense is not what would an omnipotent person with a perfect 360-degree view do in that situation. The person is what would a reasonable officer standing in the position of the officer do. And I think that likely the answer to that question is going to be that it was a reasonable and justifiable use of deadly force. It's tragic, and it's, to me, I think we need to bring back the Darwin Awards. His conduct is a Darwin Award. This is, showing up to a protest with a gun, aggressively confronting law enforcement, physically trying to de-arrest someone, resisting arrest yourself while in possession of a lawful firearm is just, you're just playing Russian roulette. You're taking an enormous risk with your life. And, if Minnesota authorities were responsible at all, they'd be saying, people, you need to stop doing this and stop getting in the way of law enforcement.
And they're saying the opposite.
Certainly don't bring a gun.
Yeah. And they're saying the opposite, 100%. Will Chamberlain, your assessment, we always appreciate it here. Please come back again soon. Good to talk to you.
Thank you. Good talking to you.
Bye-bye. Will Chamberlain is the senior counsel at the Article 3 Project. You can follow him on X at Will Chamberlain. I highly recommend you do so. Article number 3 project.org. A quick break here. We'll be back in just a minute. Don't go away.
Barking and wagging around, and I just laughed and said, you all get in. She had on a new dress.
Stewart's American Mortgage. He's the Bagel Loan guy. If you are looking for a new mortgage, a refinance on your mortgage, it is the time to contact Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. I know people who have said, like, oh, we're just going to wait until rates come down to contact him. That's not the right way to do it. What you need to do, if you have any thought in your head whatsoever that it's time to do a refinance or a cash out refinance on your home, you need to contact him at 314-324-4440 so you can talk to him about the Bagel Loan, which is where you get that refinance and pay nothing in closing costs, and then he will help you monitor the market so that you can lock in that super low rate. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. You can Google the Bagel Loan for more information to make sure that you are at the forefront of what you need to do to get the best deal for yourself. 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
4 distinct seasons, sometimes within a single day. Dave Murray's got you covered with Air Comfort Service heating and cooling weather. Every day on 97.1 FM Talk.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Fry, and Mark Reardon and learn how to create a worry-free retirement with the Retirement Advisory Group. It's coming up on Tuesday, February 17th at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield at 6:30 p.m. Here are Bob and Tammy Kershaw with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering how to turn your 401k and IRA into a worry-free retirement? Would you like to learn the strategies that give you market growth but protects you from market losses at the same time?
Would you like to get a free personalized retirement income plan? And did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to create a worry-free retirement. If you're 59 and a half or older, you cannot afford to miss this event.
Have a worry-free retirement and join the official financial advisors of my show, Bob and Tammy Kershaw, at the DoubleTree Hotel in Chesterfield, Tuesday, February 17th at 6:30 p.m. Go to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. I mean, I know that a lot of what is being discussed right now around Alex Pretti's death, there's so much just like surface level. You already knew which side you were on before the details came out. Same thing happened with Renee Good. I do think the Renee Good situation is different than the Alex Pretti situation. That doesn't mean the conclusion is going to be different, but they're different people. They were different instances. And listening to what Will Chamberlain was saying there, I think he said it really well. Like, the context with which a law enforcement officer has to make a decision is not based on whether he's omnipotent at the moment in time. And I do think that this is a tragic death. I don't support what Alex Pretti was doing there. I don't think he was being, I don't agree with his cause. I don't agree with his methods. I don't agree with, what he was there advocating for. I don't want him dead. And I just think it's important to have that discussion about this issue if you're going to talk about it, if you're trying to formulate your own opinion on it, to be able to deduce from what we know how you feel about it. And it's okay to be like, I'm not 100% sure.
This whole weekend, watching the hot takes come through on social media, I just couldn't help but continue to take a step back. And this is actually what Carolyn Levitt did in that press conference. Take a step back from this situation and look at really the whole point of this, which is the Democrats, I would say not even just Democrats, but really like the power brokers of the Democrat Party, if you want to call it that, decided at some point in about 2020 or 21, we're going to flood the country with as many illegal immigrants as possible. And then we're going to paint Republicans into a corner and force them to do one of two things. One, ignore it if they take back power, or two, address it and then create as much impediment problems as we can to stop that second option from happening. These are, you almost say, in the category of acceptable losses, but they're not even acceptable losses. They're almost encouraged losses.
I'm glad you said that, because this has been like on the tip of my brain for this show, and I haven't gotten around to saying it yet, though. I keep hearing Walz and Fry in Minnesota saying that, like, this is an unprecedented invasion of our state. Like, they say that there's no precedence for this. Keith Ellison, the attorney general there, was saying that there's no playbook for this because it hasn't happened before. the solution that ICE is offering to a problem that exists, that problem is unprecedented as well. So this isn't where unprecedented starts with what Minnesota is having to deal with as far as ICE presence and everything that comes past the problem. The problem is unprecedented, and the problem was also intentional.
Exactly.
So you don't get to wash your hands, Pontius Pilate, of this and just be like, ICE, they're the bad ones. More Ernie Fry Show in a minute.
To see my cousin.
Wondering if dangerous contaminants are in your home's water? Get Leaf Home Water Solutions today. We can't live without water, but we can take actions today to make it safer and healthier. Leaf Home Water Solutions is offering a free in-home water test. Just visit leafhome.com/free to schedule yours. With results from their advanced digital testing, Leaf Home Water Solutions can design a whole home system and expertly install it in as little as 1 day. With Leaf Home Water Solutions, you can feel confident that each drop of water from every tap and appliance is cleaner and safer for you and your family. We can't live without water, but we can take actions today to make our family's water safer with Leaf Home Water Solutions. Schedule your free home water test today at leafhome.com/free and save 15% on all home water treatment systems. That's leafhome.com/free for your free home water test and 15% off. leafhome.com/free.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hey guys, are you dealing with low energy, weight gain, or issues in the bedroom? Game Day Men's Health is the premier men's health clinic in the St. Louis area with locations in Chesterfield and O'Fallon, Missouri. They specialize in low testosterone and sexual health, and they also help men and women with medical weight loss, vitamins, and peptides. They offer free consultations and testosterone tests with results in about 20 minutes. Get in, get answers, get back to the top of your game. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Again, that's GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
Are you tired of feeling sick and tired? I'm Dr. Nick Barnes of Health From Within Family Chiropractic. Our simple 5-step approach aligns your health naturally. We correct spinal abnormalities to maximize nerve supply, focus on pure and simple nutrition, exercise and oxygen, mindset, and minimizing toxins in your body. Transform your health today with Health From Within, conveniently located on Manchester in Rock Hill or online at healthfromwithinstl.com.
John Pertzborn here, and I've come to respect the good works of Hardy's Rise and Shine for Heat benefit, supporting heatupstlouis.org, where 100% of the proceeds help families and seniors with Missouri and Illinois utilities. It's Friday, February 13th, your lucky day. Volunteer now or pre-order sacks of sausage or egg biscuits only at heatupstlouis.org. Put the biscuits down, gentry.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-777-7777.
That's 314-777-7777. Outreach and pushback from the White House. Lisa Brady, Fox News. After a second deadly shooting in Minnesota, spokeswoman Caroline Levitt says no one at the White House wants people getting killed in the street. But let's be clear about the circumstances which led to that moment on Saturday. This tragedy occurred as a result of a deliberate and hostile resistance by Democrat leaders in Minnesota. She accuses city and state leaders of creating dangerous conditions and says during a call with Minnesota's governor today, President Trump urged cooperation between federal and state law enforcement. The president also announcing he's sending border czar Tom Homan to Minnesota to oversee operations. The governor's office says the call was productive, but that Minnesota's corrections department already honors federal detainers for illegal immigrants in state custody, and that the governor urged impartial investigations of the Minneapolis shootings. Some Democrats in Congress want a Homeland Security bill rewritten and separated from a package of spending bills heading for a Senate vote to avoid a government shutdown later this week. The mayor of Oxford, Mississippi, says damage from a winter storm looks like a tornado hit, with trees and power lines snapped by ice.
There's no doubt that Oxford, the city, Lafayette, the county, and the surrounding counties took a major blow.
And Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves just telling Fox that with historically low temperatures continuing for now,
it's going to take days, not a matter of hours, to get power back restored to everyone. That's our primary goal at this time.
More than 700,000 without power today across the South, while 18 states dig out for more than a foot of snow, the most in several years for parts of the Northeast. We're just getting word that the University of Mississippi is now closing the Oxford campus for the week because of dangerous ice. America is listening to Fox News.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
We remain in the deep freeze. Lots of sunshine out there, but don't let it fool you. Bitter cold temperatures, 16 for the high, wind chills 0 or below. Doesn't take much wind to get us to that point. Clear skies tonight, 6. That's around midnight. A slow rise in temperature after that. Still bitterly cold. Tuesday, sunny and 31. Back to 0 on Tuesday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for their honor flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for HVAC services, aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Ray.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride. What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. A reminder, you can text us at 314-241-9797 on today's YouTube live chat poll. Have you made up your mind regarding the death of Minneapolis protester and nurse Alex Pretti? 314-241-9797 if you want to text us your thoughts, 314-241-9797. And don't forget, you can stream us anywhere, anytime on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Votes are coming in on this poll, and we've got just short of 200 votes right now. It's not a overwhelming majority here one way or the other. We listened to a bit of the press conference in the 12 o'clock hour. Carolyn Levitt was there speaking, obviously on behalf of the administration, talking about the president's position. And the president certainly has, according to Carolyn Levitt, kind of taken a precautionary, let's listen and see what the details bear out. They also referred to the death of Alex Pretti as a tragedy. So we're curious what you think about it. You can text us at 314-241-9797. Fox News reports that President Donald Trump said he had a very good call with Democratic Minnesota Governor Tim Walz Monday as tensions in Minneapolis flared following the shooting of Alex Pretti by a federal immigration officer Saturday. President Trump posted on True Social, Governor Tim Walz called me with a request to work together with respect to Minnesota. It was a very good call, and we actually seem to be on a similar wavelength. I told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him, and that what we are looking for are any and all criminals that they have in their possession. It can't be understated, the element here of a sanctuary state and a sanctuary city where, you know, the question is about ICE tactics and why these ICE agents, this law enforcement, is coming into these towns this way, and people will say ripping them out of the school drop-off line and all. It's never that. That's never exactly how the story actually went. There's always kind of an emotional heartstring pull when it comes to the details of what's going on. But listen, I understand that if there's somebody in your community and you've known them, and as far as you know, they're a pretty good person, they are, as good as the next neighbor, whatever it might be, that it might be disconcerting to see people come in and remove these people from being here. The situation that really needs attention is in these blue cities, in these blue states, where when it comes to child rapists, murderers, people that have been, charged with these violent type of crimes, armed robbery, whatever the case might be. And, I actually think that driving drunk or driving without a license is a very dangerous thing to do, because my 16-year-old son is out there trying to do his best driving on the roads, and he's going to eventually make some sort of mistake at some sort of time. We've all have an obligation to keep the roads as safe as we possibly can, which means there are rules, there are laws that are in place. It's really that simple. There are laws that are in place, and there are varying degrees of breaking the law, which is why you have different classes of crimes that you can charge people with. But even when it comes to, you have to ask yourself, in these blue cities and blue states that have sanctuary status, why on earth, if your local law enforcement arrests somebody for some sort of violent crime, why on earth would you prioritize protecting their immigration status over handing that individual who's been arrested for participation in some sort of heinous violent crime? Why would anybody support the shielding of that criminal from being turned over to immigration authorities? Why would you do that? If you're talking about your neighbor who your kids play on the same Little League team or whatever, and you don't know of anything in their background that would be violent or criminal, we can discuss the merits of deporting those people. I think that is a discussion that could be had, and chances are we might come out on different angles as to what to do with individuals who are here illegally but don't really have another crime on their record outside of being here illegally. There's a huge, huge, high percentage of agreement of people who think that if you're screwing around and committing additional crimes while you're in our country, that you should be bounced out of here super fast. But the folks like Fry and Walls and Pritzker and Brandon Johnson in Chicago, these individuals are prioritizing the protection of immigrants who are here illegally, who are committing additional crimes. That is the pressure cooker that the Minneapolis situations are bearing out of. They're taking and inflaming a question that I think on the whole, the large majority, it is an 80-20 issue, that violent criminals who are here illegally should be gone. It's probably bigger than an 80-20 issue. It's probably bigger than 80. The more moderate you get, or the more leftist you get, or hard on the sleeve liberal that you get, maybe the less interested you are in seeing the people who are here illegally but haven't committed any other crimes. That's a different discussion. But how in the world are we okay with the Wallaces and the Frys and the Pritzkers and the Johnsons of the world? Why are we okay with shielding these illegal immigrants who are committing violent crimes from being turned over to immigration authorities? That is so obvious. And there's nobody who's thinking with their own brain, who's not reading copy points from the left or the right. Nobody looks at that and says, no, those illegal immigrants should have certain rights. After they've raped a child, they should have rights? Screw that. Give me a break. This is so common sense. This is so obvious. And that's been the discussion. That's one of the main reasons why during the campaign in November up to November of 2024, why people supported President Trump, because he said those people should be gone. And America voting citizens said, yeah, you're right. They should be gone. The only way to push back against that is to blur all the lines, to try to complicate each and every situation in a way where people have to, well, what about this circumstance? What about that circumstance? If Fry and Walz in Minnesota cooperated with the federal government to take people when they'd been brought to jail, when they're in jail, ICE authorities could go into the jails and acquire these violent criminals from inside a jail and take them and deport them. They could go in there and get them there, not in the streets, not in the school car line, not at the grocery store, not at the Little League game. If the state would cooperate with the federal government on the violent criminals, then the rest of the conversation would be a lot more elevated and important to have. That's not what the blue sanctuary areas want. They want to complicate the whole thing, and it's costing people their lives. The brainwashing from the left. There's no instance where we should be telling people who want to exercise their First Amendment to, how did Maxine Waters say it? Go up and get in their face. This is a common marching order from the people on the left. Instill chaos, resort to violence if you have to. It's your civic duty, your civil disobedience. That's not what these leftists in Minnesota are advocating for. Civil disobedience, that's not what they're advocating for. And they're playing stupid games and winning stupid prizes with the lives of people. It is a tragedy. And it really needs to stop. And what we need to have is President Trump probably could make some sort of concession on the amount of ICE agents, because common sense here. If Tim Walz would agree to cooperate with the federal government and say, we will turn over our violent criminals when we arrest them, we will cooperate with ICE so all of that business can take place on the territory of law enforcement. If Tim Walz would say that, then the need to have thousands and thousands of ICE agents in Minnesota would go away. So President Trump can say, we're going to withdraw X amount of ICE agents from Minnesota because we are now going to work with Tim Walz, who has agreed to cooperate with us to get the worst of the worst off the streets. Problem solved. But this is, Minnesota elected officials, they take a step up, they elevate the situation. Donald Trump's not going to back down from that at all.
Never.
Sending Tom Homan into Minnesota, it's funny because to me, I think to a lot of people paying attention, that actually seems like a de-escalatory move. Like you're sending your best negotiator to the front lines. Somebody who knows your position but has a clear-eyed focus of what needs to happen. I've seen Tom Homan in person from the press briefing room talk about the absolute disgusting travesties that he's seen in this country when he's arrested missing children from... there are tens of thousands of kids that have just gone poof missing. Where is that story? And you find out they've been sexually trafficked in the United States. Nobody's outraged about that. We are at a point right now where Tom Homan going to the front lines in Minneapolis. If Tim Walz is on the phone with Donald Trump, President Trump has said that Tom Homan is going to report directly to Donald Trump. I do see this as President Trump stepping up and saying, let's talk. Let's lower the temperature. He comes out with a complimentary reaction to his call with Tim Walz. I think the president, this administration is like, let's talk. Which is what Tim Walz has been saying at the microphone, at the press conferences over and over and over again. Does he mean it? Because he's not going to go talk to Donald Trump and say, you're going to give me everything I want, and Trump is going to say, okay. That's not going to happen. If there is an agreement that takes place here, Tim Walz is going to make it sound like he won. President Trump is going to make it sound like he won. But what we really need is for ICE to be able to get the people who are here, who are committing crimes, who are here illegally. They need to deport them out of our country. Again, you can deport yourself and get a nice fat check from the taxpayer on the way out if you want to right now. There is a peaceful way out of this situation that doesn't involve all of this chaos. And then you can come back. You can come back through the front door. In order to de-escalate this situation, everybody is going to have to step up to the plate, and we need to not know any more names of Renee Goods and Alex Prettis. We need to stop that. And it's going to take cooperation from people understanding what the 80% of the issue here is, which is violent criminals in our country here illegally need to be made to go away. They need to be gone. There's no question about that. There's no compromising on it whatsoever. You know, they say that, like, for every illegal that is here, they have a number on the cost to have those illegals here. I think it's like $2,700. It's either $2,700 or $3,300. Those two numbers are rolling around
Per
in my
month?
brain. No, that's what we're giving them to leave.
Oh.
Which, if you're taking $2,700 back into a low income country, like a maybe a third world country, that money is going to last you a little bit there. But the amount of money that it costs to keep illegal immigrants here is in the tens of thousands of dollars. It's a deal for the American taxpayer to pay for their ticket home and to provide them with that money to leave.
Oh, it's insane how much even our state has spent on that.
Yes.
On illegal immigration. And keeping them here, as many people as possible. But
Well-
they won't lower our property taxes, though.
No, they never will. The YouTube poll, have you made your mind up regarding the death of Minneapolis protester and nurse Alex Pretti? Yes or no? You got your mind made up. You can text us at 314-241-9797. A reminder, this week we are raising dollars for the Annie Fry Show Scholarship to help kids in the area access a Lutheran education. We need more donations, folks. We're starting it today, and we need $567, if I'm doing my math correctly, to get to our first $1,000 raised. Will you text Annie26 to 41444 and be a part of providing a Lutheran education to someone here locally? We would love to have you. Text Annie26 to 41444. We'd love to have you be a part of this family event. We'll be right back. Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan. Have you called Stewie yet? I hope you have. If you haven't, you can text him as well, because a bagel loan is a really smart way to acquire a new mortgage, whether it's a brand new mortgage on a home that you're looking to purchase, or if it is a mortgage refinance on your current mortgage, cash out mortgage refinance as well. Rates are going down, and if you reach out to him right now, you can help time that mortgage rate that you've been looking for very nicely, because Stewie will monitor it for you, so you don't have to do it. Get everything in order, and when that mortgage rate gets to where you want it to be, you can convert. And with the bagel loan, you pay nothing in closing costs in order to get that mortgage acquired. It doesn't cost you anything. So if you have a higher interest rate and you've been looking to lower it and lock it in, reach out to Stewie today. Call or text 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. And tell Stewie that Annie sent you. You can Google the bagel loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
Extreme cold weather coming in through St. Louis this mid-January probably. If you're having issues with your furnace, give me a call. If you were told you need a new furnace, without a question, give me a call. You'll be happy you did. We're all the same when it comes to like buying a furnace and air conditioner, just like with pretty much anything else. If you're like me, I want a furnace that heats, and in the heat of summer, I want an air conditioner that works. Pretty much simple. So is a more high-efficient air conditioner or a more high-efficient furnace give me more heat, more more cooling? No, it doesn't at all. It gives you the exact same. So with that being said, you need to call me. Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Again, 314-293-2600, or you can do the online thing, and it's Bart Inman, Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Mark Cox here. This is my invitation to you to join me September 30th as we discover the charm of Switzerland Austria, and Germany with Colette Travel. Spend 4 nights in Bern and 4 nights at the foot of the Alps in Innsbruck. There are cobblestone streets and postcard-worthy mountain landscapes of the amazing Alps everywhere. We'll explore the Swiss capital of Bern and Lucerne, the Swiss paradise on the lake. Plus, we'll travel the Austrian countryside to Salzburg with a visit to Mozart's birthplace and beautiful Mirabelle Gardens featured in The Sound of Music. Colette handles all the details, from flights to meals, hotels, and local experiences. Your only job is to have the time of your life. Don't miss joining me. Call Colette at 800-581-8942 or visit 971talk.com to learn more. The number again, 800-581-8942. Call today.
Most people spend decades saving for retirement, but few ever learn how to turn those savings into lasting income. And that's where Financial and Tax Architects comes in. They help people across St. Louis work to protect their life savings, minimize taxes, and retire with confidence. Now, they do a Retirement Planning 101 class, and it shows you exactly what others often miss: how to avoid hidden tax traps in your 401k or IRA, and how to make smarter decisions about Social Security. Now, this is a one-night, 2.5-hour, no-cost educational event. Seats fill up fast. And at FTA, they like to say that financial peace of mind in retirement is all about income. Lose the job and keep the paycheck. That's exactly what FTA will help you do. So if you're within 10 years of retirement or already retired, you can't afford to miss it. Call 314-888-5101 or go to fta-ria.com and reserve your seat now.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking Active Liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
The Annie Fry Show is St. Louis conservative.
Hold up. Check it out. Sports and local.
Durf and Doniford's Dumpy Doos.
You know, I love
with
that.
Shannon McNards.
Watch your mouth, Ethan.
Yeah. You know what I love is that Brad, right before we went on, said professional Ethan intro incoming. I guess we had different ideas of professional. That's fine.
All right, let's get to the Dumpy Doos.
Well, you guys are here. You survived the snow.
Thank you.
Survived the sky, dumpy doing all that white stuff everywhere, that snow everywhere. And here we are. We made it in. You know what? There was some fun snow news over the weekend. Did you guys see the video I sent you all of the polar bear at the zoo running around in the snow and diving into the water, into the pool?
Yeah, it felt cold.
I saw that you wanted us to watch it, but I didn't see it yet.
It's kind of relatable.
Got it.
I thought that I should probably wait for the report so that I get the context of the video.
I mean,
It's
there's
a
only
polar
so
bear
much to
in the snow.
share about it. Annie summarized it pretty well right there.
Yeah.
So what you're
Appreciate
saying
that.
is I go into the video expecting cute, because that's what I needed, because I didn't know.
Yes.
Okay,
that is
good.
literally
Who in
it,
here
Ryan.
played in the snow? Who in here went out in the snow this weekend? I did not.
I did not either.
In fact,
Brad did.
There was one time. So my commute from my house to Walmart is flat, reasonably close. So we got the bathroom painted.
Bragger.
This weekend. Yes, I know. It's a huge status symbol how close and flat it is to get to Walmart.
Ooh, my drive to Walmart's so flat.
We were there at 10 o'clock at night, and I bet you, it was like 9:30-ish, moving into 10 o'clock. I bet you at Walmart, there might have been 6 other people in the store. Like, that was the time to go grocery
that's
shopping.
Glorious.
It was so empty. We were there buying paint supplies.
Oh.
I got a Raising Cane's gift card for Christmas
Mhm.
and just had it set on my mind that I was going to use it this week, and you're going to be snowed in. You want Cane's. And
No,
I
you want
called.
Cane's.
Right.
Yeah, it's not automatic.
I called Cane's 6 times on Saturday,
To see if they
checking
were
to
open?
make sure if they were still open. And every time I would ask, you have a plan on when you're going to close? And I finally got an answer. But there was one point which it took a really long time for them to answer. And I was like, crap, I waited too long. But I didn't. They ended up answering, and I got my Cane's.
You got it. Good story.
Happy ending.
Do you notice how much milk the stores had? It was like they all knew that was going to be the run, and they had plenty. I thought I was going to walk in Saturday morning and they'd be completely out, and they weren't.
I'm glad that you got your milk, Ryan.
Thank you.
There was another story recently. This one actually was this morning. The St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department shared a photo of a cyclist riding his bike on Interstate 64 near Forest Park. And the caption on the post said, "Some things don't need a caption," and a reminder that bicycles do not belong on the highway. So that also happened this morning
Can
as well.
I interject here on the scholarship drive that we're having right now? Thank you, people who are donating. I need help, folks. You need to help me. You can text Annie 2624144. No donation is too small. Partnership with the Lutheran Elementary School Association. The Annie Fry Show scholarship right now, I need to get a total of what we went into, but it's a little bit short of $30,000, and it's an endowed scholarship, so it's going to grow and give back year after year after year. Our goal this year is $15,000, and the guy in the bunny suit just donated $97.
Oh.
And I wonder if it's the Easter bunny that helped Joe Biden.
We can only speculate and assume that it was. It's the guy in the bunny suit.
$97. If we need $40 right now to get to $500. So I would have liked to have pushed a little bit farther today on this $15,000 that we're trying to raise this week. But if somebody out there wants to donate $40, we'll at least get to $500. And maybe somebody wants to also donate $500 to get us to $1,000.
That'd be great.
Text Annie
2 for 2
26 to 41444. Or go to lisastl.org/Annie.
The Missouri State Highway Patrol shared an update also this morning on what troopers had been working on during this weekend's winter storm, and they reported over 1,200 calls for service. Among those calls were 248 stranded motorists, 182 non-injury crashes.
Did you see the Poplar Street Bridge?
Mm-hmm.
I did not.
There was like a jackknife tractor
Oh,
trailer.
yeah, I
and it
did
shut
see
it down.
that.
It was
On the
not
bridge.
good.
Yeah, that was scary looking. 26 injury crashes and sadly one fatal crash as well. So the roads are obviously in a lot better shape today than they were this weekend, but still be careful. I ran into a couple of slick spots, on 70 this morning.
Did you guys see any cars off the road on your way into work today?
Oh, yeah. Brad actually texted me as a warning this morning that there was a bus at the bottom of the 9th Street exit that had gone completely into the other lane and then off to the side. And then by the time I got there, because that is my exit, they had flashes in the ground, like on fire, like directing flares, whatever they're called, flashes. They had flares in the ground
That's something else.
that I had to drive around, which was weird because you had to drive into the snow to get around the flares.
So was that an accident that had occurred like recently this morning?
I guess so.
Must have been.
Ooh, $25 just in from Anonymous. $15 to Annie26. Text Annie26 to 41444. That bell is hopefully going to get really annoying.
Yeah.
$15 gets us over 500.
Quick sports update before we go to a break here. I'm just updating on the sports from the weekend because there was a lot going on.
Oh, yeah.
Start off with the bad. The Blues lost again, back-to-back
No.
over the weekend. They've lost 4
No.
straight now. They lost to the Kings on Saturday night, 5-4 in a shootout. But college basketball in the area, big wins for all of the teams. The Mizzou,
All of them.
Let's start with the Mizzou Tigers.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. I'm starting with
No.
the Mizzou Tigers.
This country went east to west, and you will too.
The Mizzou Tigers beat the Oklahoma Sooners in overtime.
I'm
they
annoyed
got to
how good this
overtime
game was.
on a buzzer beater.
Yeah.
And then they won in overtime on a buzzer beater.
So
Ryan
fun to
Wiggins.
That's
watch.
great.
Yay.
So they beat their rivals,
MIZ.
the Oklahoma Sooners. SLU basketball. They just keep on winning on Friday night. They beat St. Bonaventure 97-62 with
97,
the win.
same amount of money donated by the guy in the bunny suit.
Yeah.
Nice.
To the Annie Fry Show.
And that is our signal.
Annie, what's their record now?
19-1.
19-1, and they move up in the AP poll to number 21 in the country.
Don't play the music yet. We haven't done the best one yet.
And ILL.
I-N-A.
How about those Illinois Fighting Illini?
What a
They
game.
beat the number 4 team in the country
Talk about the 18-year-old.
at Purdue University.
Fourth ranked.
Keaton Wagler, 46 points in the 88-82 win
46.
in West Lafayette.
He's 18.
That is freaking awesome. Biggest win of the year for the Illini, who moved to 17-3. They move up from 11 to 9 in the
good.
latest AP poll as well. So, we're starting to get down the stretch here a little bit, and the Illini are
They're good.
They
they're
beat the
heating
number
up.
4 team. They should just become the number 4 team.
On the road.
Yeah.
Purdue is it at home?
It should be like kill what you eat, you know?
There is like 5.
Or eat what
I
you
think
kill.
there are 5 Big Ten teams in like the top 12 in the country right now. The Big Ten
Ten.
is stacked this year. So,
All
going to
right.
be fun to watch down the stretch.
Oh, another donation from Terry.
Hey.
$50, over $500 now donated. Would you join us? We would love to welcome you into the Annie Fry Show Scholarship family. When you donate, you can leave your name there. You can leave something like the guy in the bunny suit, and I will anchorman that on the air all day long. As long as the FCC approves it, you put something in that donation link, I will happily shout you out. $510 raised today so far. That is scratching the surface of what we're trying to do, but every single dollar matters, and we are so grateful for each of you that is participating with us. The website is Lisa with an E, LESASTL.org/Annie, or you can text Annie26 to 41444. Annie26 to 41444. Come be a part of something cool. We're so glad that you're here. We'll be right back.
Right here, right now, watching the world wake up from history. Right here,
Home Shield Foundation Repairs.com. Reach out to Matt Hayes of Home Shield Foundation Repairs and talk to him. 314-271-9900. That's 314-271-9900 about the water that you are experiencing in your basement. Reach out to Matt Hayes because he's somebody you can trust. You're going to be able to have him come to your basement and look at what you're dealing with, that corner of their basement that you just don't even use. Think about the square footage you're missing out on. But also think about the cost of not making this phone call. Putting off the watery problem in your basement, that's hurting your foundation with each and every time that water comes in and things move and shift around. You need to put a stop to it right now. But you definitely want to go with somebody you can trust. Matt Hayes, he's your guy. So you have him come look at your basement, and then you can choose, like, okay, Annie was right. I can trust this guy. I think you'll do that for sure. But it's up to you. You make the decision. 314-271-9900. That's 314-271-9900. Matt Hayes at HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
What's up? It's Draymond Green. I'm back for my 14th NBA season, and my podcast, The Draymond Green Show, is back too. This season, I'm breaking down games, reacting to the biggest NBA stories, and sitting down with teammates, rivals, and culture shapers. And trust me, I'm not holding back, on the court or on the mic. 2 new episodes every week. New segments, big conversations, real basketball talk for the real hoop heads. Listen to and follow The Draymond Green Show wherever you get your podcasts. We're back. We're better. Let's get it.
Hi, I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, America's largest
Hey,
family
folks,
law firm.
I'm turning.
During this time
Okay,
of
Cordell
year,
and Cordell.
difficult
Hold on a second. Gotta
relationships.
turn you off. There you go. Thank you to everybody who has donated so far. I have the totals up here. We've got 16 donors so far. We're at 4% of our goal. So a little ways yet to go, $15,000, but we've raised $535 so far. So $465 to get our first $1,000. If you haven't donated yet and you want to, you can go, you see that little QR code that's in Ryan's little rectangle right there? You can scan that with your phone. That'll take you directly to the donation link. You can text Annie26 to 41444. That'll take you to the donation link. You can also go to Lisa, LESASTL.org/Annie. And I really hope we get some donations with some fun names in the donation section there. All right, Ryan's going to do a time check. It's going to be amazing. Listen.
What's nice is if you listen to the Annie Fry Show, you've heard her interview some big names over the years. She's been to Washington, D.C., been in the press room last year.
This feels like it sounds nice right now.
It's setting up for something, though.
But I don't know that I'm going to like it.
Annie doesn't get super nervous in situations where most people would. In this one, though, I can testify sitting across the room from her. This is one of the most nervous that I ever see her is when she puts herself on the line for this scholarship to help kids learn about Jesus right here in St. Louis. This is how it happens, though. We just put the call out and say, you want to help make this happen? It's for the Lutheran Elementary School Association, LESA. That is the endowment scholarship campaign of 2026 happening right now. You'll hear us talk about it. If you want to donate to this, get us off to a good start today. It takes everybody. The way to do so is texting Annie26. That's for the year. I just realized.
Yes.
26.
26.
Annie26 to 41444. And then you can donate from there, whatever you'd like. A couple of options, $25, $100, $1,000. That all
Please.
gets us there.
Please?
All right. There you go. Annie26 to 41444. It is 2:36. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly, Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 furnace tune-up.
Fox News National, St. Louis Local, 97.1 FM Talk.
Young blood thinks there's always tomorrow. I miss your touch on nights when I'm hollow.
So let me ask you, Ryan, to weigh in on this poll question for today. 314-241-9797. If folks wants to text us, Ryan will have access to those as well. Here's the question. Now, you can vote on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. You can text us, but I'd like to have that discussion right here. Have you made up your mind regarding the death of Minneapolis protester and nurse Alex Pretti? Yes or no? Have you made up your mind?
Yeah, I have. Just because this is part of the big, what's the word? Insurrection, something like that. The internal warfare that the Democrat machine has decided to prop up to fight against deportations. They don't really care about any sort of individual. In fact, they probably quietly cheer when something like this happens because it furthers their cause. These are people who are very despicable. They hate this country. They want to destroy it from the inside out.
You're talking about people, though. Are you talking about Pretti?
I'm not talking about Pretti. No, but this is the context for me saying that I've made up my mind on this case, that this is all part of the game, that they're willing to play with people's lives. And so they say, you know what, little things might happen here or there. There's going to be some questionable times. Anytime anything questionable happens, we will exploit it for our cause, and that's what's happening here. So while there's lots of nuance to this particular case, the point is that they're finding cases with nuance to exploit. And so I don't need to really know more about this case. It's all part of the game that they've set up to destroy ICE. I mean, really to just sort of flood the zone with leftist stuff. And this is part of that. And so I'm a yes in this poll. I have made up my mind, and I don't really need to see any more.
Who's the victim here?
The victim is the rule of law in the country, I would say. I'm really looking much bigger picture, and I'm saying that the goal of overthrowing law enforcement and really just sort of sanity in the country is the victim.
You know, I think about the correlation between what's going on in Minneapolis and the way people are reacting. You know, January 6th was a litmus test for people for years. You weren't allowed to say anything that was outside of the approved narrative regarding January 6th without an enormous amount of blowback. January 6th, like if I said anything about January 6th on social media for years after January 6th, 2021, we got basically demonetized, totally shadow banned. For years, I didn't do anything on my show Facebook page because if I did it, nobody would see it because they had set me aside because we would talk. I mean, I could have come on there and talked about January 6th and said the things that they wanted to hear, but because we were also a pro-Trump or conservative-minded entity, and we would even like put the word J6 in some sort of headline, it was like these people are not to be heard from. Same thing with Twitter before Elon Musk and so on and so forth, definitely with YouTube. And I think about January 6th, and I think about how I know personally people who were at January 6th at the Ellipse that day who did absolutely nothing wrong. They were on the other side of the building when people started to infiltrate the Capitol building. They didn't even know it was happening, and they were there on the grounds. There were a lot of people who were involved in something, exercising their First Amendment right to be angry with what the government was doing and speaking out loud about it in public. That is a legal protected system. And I think to myself about those people, and then I think about other people who were present there who did, break windows and climb through windows and then move in to the Capitol building, and then others who maybe got more violent or aggressive, or those who were in the crowd who were stoking chaos. I have a lot of questions about those people. A lot of questions. And I just, in my mind, think about the similarities between that event and Minneapolis, where you have people who are in their hearts super passionate about something. The idea that they would be out there standing up for illegal immigrants in their community, they would call them undocumented immigrants, but therein lies the point. There are people in those streets who are there with the absolute best of intentions. I probably disagree with about 95%. If we were to have a conversation, we wouldn't see eye to eye. But they believe it.
I wholeheartedly agree with this, by the way.
The grassroots that exists in Minneapolis and across the country, there are people who are there because they are passionate. They are there because they have love in their heart that is manifesting itself in a way that they feel compelled that they have to be heard. They have to speak up. They feel like they're speaking up for the voiceless. But then there are those people in those crowds who are agitating. And they're scratching and picking and pulling on nerves, and they're pushing it to a limit that is not satisfactory to civil discourse. They're intentional. They're organized. They're funded. And that is present in Minneapolis, and that was present on January 6th at the Capitol building. And I wonder how much similarity they have in their funding, in their presence, in their organization. It's calculated. And if somebody is out there exercising their First Amendment right in a way that I disagree with, my First Amendment right to disagree with them publicly exists, but also I will defend their right to disagree with the government in a way that disagrees with how I disagree with the government. But the people who are intentionally agitating a tinderbox of a situation for the end result to be chaos. It's not like, it might get a little tenuous there, but we need to get to the other side where we get to some sort of understanding of how we can peacefully exist in this country with these people here, or those people not here, or whatever it is. That is not their goal. Their goal is chaos, because in chaos, people can move in, vacuum up all of the power, which is what Black Lives Matter did. And then look what they did with their funds that they raised. There is an agitation, there is an organization, there is a funding that exists on the ground in Minneapolis that is taking the message from both sides and really degrading it to a place where it's not even being discussed. There's nothing that's going to come out of it that is going to be productive to getting to a solution on the other side that is peaceful.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the machine that decided in 2021 flood the zone with as much illegal immigration as possible. That same machine now is basically running a special ops campaign inside the country to take down law enforcement.
And when they said flood the country with these illegal immigrants, they knew this was coming. They were prepared for it.
This is all part of it.
Yes, they knew this was going to happen. This is not like, this plan's really going awry. Mm-mm.
No.
This is part of it. They know. And I think President Trump identifies that and knows that as well. I think Tom Homan knows that as well. I think there are a lot of voters who know that as well, that this is going to be part of the process, because these people who are looking to flood this country with illegal immigrants who are now living off of our system in a way that we can't sustain and afford, who eventually could turn into voters. These are issues that are intentionally driven to be completely emotionally based. This is not, they don't win if it's a cerebral exercise. So we have to keep our heads level and never push your heart out of the negotiation in your mind over what's facts, what's real, what's not. It's complicated. And it's okay if it's complicated. It's okay if you're somebody who's like, I just don't really know what to think yet. If that's you, on either side, that's okay. The main point is that you think for yourself. We'll take some texts when we come back. 314-241-9797. The YouTube poll. Go vote. Have you made up your mind regarding the death of Minneapolis protester and nurse Alex Pretti? Yes or no? We'll be right back.
If I can't be close to you, I'll settle for the ghost of you. I miss you more than life. And if you can't be next to me, your memory is ecstasy.
So I want to talk to you about the Lutheran Elementary School Association. I want to talk to you about the idea of providing your child an incredible place to learn that is Christ-centered. I think that is such a key, important part to providing a stable solution for your child, for your grandchild, to a learning environment where they can learn with the most foundational elements of what you need to know as you grow up. That's all right there. It's all part of it because it has to be. That's what Lutheran schools are doing for my children. That's what they did for me. And right now I'm asking you to help me. Please help me develop, grow this Annie Fry Show scholarship that we've established last year. We had great success doing that. We're hoping that we can replicate that $15,000 goal that we set last year. It's a steep goal, but I think we can do it. I know that you have a heart for it. And I know that school choice is really important to a lot of you listening. And this is an incredible way in the Missouri-Illinois bi-state region for us to provide this opportunity without having the government step in and get involved. We can stand in a gap and be a part of a solution for our local kids. Would you consider helping us raise these dollars? Right now, we need $439 to get to our first $1,000 raised to add on to the Annie Fry Show scholarship. You can go to lisastl.org/Annie, lesastl.org/Annie to donate. There are other ways you can donate. Right now, any amount helps. Any amount counts. Can you join us? Text Annie26 to 41444. That's Annie26 to 41444. Or go to Lisa with an E, lesastl.org/Annie.
2026 is an election year, and 97.1 FM Talk will be your home for every twist and turn in the 2026 midterms. 97.1 FM Talk. Keep it here for radio coverage that's 25 years strong.
Now that we're getting older, we've been putting more thought into maintaining our health.
We knew the water we drink every day could be filled with contaminants, so
we called Leaf Home Water Solutions.
They came to our home and did a free water test and gave us the analysis right away.
We were shocked at what we saw.
They found heavy metals like iron and copper.
Our own tap water was putting our health at risk, but Leaf Home Water Solutions made it easy to get safer water from every tap and hose. A whole home solution.
They have more than 250 product combinations and designed a system that fits our needs and budget. The installation took less than a day.
With Leaf Home Water Solutions, our water is safer and healthier. When we drink, when we cook, when we shower, even when we garden.
We feel better about our health.
Thanks to Leaf Home Water Solutions.
Schedule your free home water test today at leafhome.com/free and save 15% on all home water treatment systems. That's leafhome.com/free for your free home water test and 15% off. leafhome.com/free.
New tax resolution firms are popping up every day with high-paid celebrity endorsers, advertising ridiculous claims in their TV ads. That's why they have the tiny, unreadable disclaimers at the bottom of the screen. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. Our ads never have those ridiculous, fast-talking, tiny disclaimers at the end because, simply put, there are no guarantees when it comes to the IRS and wiping out tax bills. And we don't make promises we can't keep. Of course, there are ways the Lance Story Law Firm can help resolve your tax debt, but no company can guarantee it will eliminate it. This is why their clients call the Lance Story Law Firm when those promises don't pan out. If you have tax problems, you have legal vehicle problems, call me, Lance Drury in St. Louis at 314-260-6120 or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis conservative.
A big thank you to Renee for her $26 donation. We appreciate everybody who has supported us today. We've got 17 donors today, which is fantastic. Looking to grow that. If we could get 4 people to donate $100 before the show is over, which is like right now, so that's a huge ask, then we'd get to that $1,000 mark for the day. So just 4 people right now in the listening area could text Annie26 to 41444, Annie26 to 41444. Or you can go to lisastl.org/Annie. Just 4 people, $100, and we'll get to that $1,000 mark for today. You said you had some text today on the YouTube poll?
Yeah, the poll is, have you made your mind up regarding the death of Minneapolis protester and nurse Alex Pretti? And here's a couple that have just come in. One says, before that lady you had on, which I think they're referring to Asra Nomani in the first hour. You can get the podcast if you missed that. Before that lady you had on, I wanted to hear more to make up my mind. But after hearing her, yes, I think this is the use of mob mentality by the opposition party.
Yeah, and she made a really great point about how this is not something that is specific to this instance, that there's a global element to this. Of course, we heard Will Chamberlain kind of talk about how there is a element to this that you see in other places around the world. If you want to hear that interview from Asra Nomani, it's on the Annie Fry Show podcast, which you can get on the Odyssey app. Go like the Annie Fry Show there.
This person says the protests are purely political. They are using the illegal immigrants as pawns in the political arena. This one says, yes, my mind is made up regarding the poll. Someone put themselves in extremely dangerous situation where accidents do happen, and it did. Now he is dead, and those agents have to live with that horror for the rest of their lives. That's an interesting take. I mean, we don't talk. They're trying to paint these agents as being soulless monster killers, and that is never the case. If you know law enforcement has been involved in any sort of extreme circumstance, I definitely do. It is something that they think about. Sometimes they're injured in the process, and of course that never goes away.
Sometimes they're killed in the process.
And sometimes they're killed in the process.
And they have to know every day that they put their uniform on that it's possible. And they still put the uniform on that day.
This person says, the whistle thing is historical disruption during the Bolshevik Revolution. And I'm looking back. There's just quite a few from today. One person says, I need a link to the Lutheran donation site.
LisaSTL.org/Annie, LESASTL.org/Annie. Come donate. Please support us. We're going to have a fun Lutheran Schools week here on the show. One thing that I would really love for people to do is to give us ideas of like festival days that we can do. Because in Lutheran Schools Week, I don't know if you guys ever had Spirit Weeks. Did you guys have Spirit Weeks, right?
Well, our
like
kids
leading
do
into
now.
leading into homecoming or something?
I don't really remember doing it much in high school. I'm sure we did. And I was just making fun of it. That's probably what I did.
Favorite sports day, hat day, pajama day, all that type of stuff. So we can do some of that this week too. Okay. Last year, when we met our goal, I told you folks that if we'd meet our goal, that I'd let Ryan Wiggins cut my hair.
Oh, yeah. That was last year.
Yes. And we did, and he cut my hair. And I told him you could cut like an inch or something. He cut a good 4 inches off my hair. He just took my hair and snipped it off.
Well, I was getting ready to cut, and then I faked a fall. And I was like, oh, shoot.
That's not true. You just cut it. You just went for it, and you took a chunk out of it. What do you think about the poll, Brad?
I'm a no on this poll. I look at it, and what do we have? Several video angles, all of them about 35 to 40 seconds long. We have no idea what happened leading up to it, nor what happened in the moments after that. You just get that small little snapshot of that situation. I have no idea what happened on there other than that man lost his life and then an officer shot him.
Jim says on our Facebook Live right now, yes, cannot interfere with law enforcement performing its duties. When they say back up, you got to back up. That is a known thing. You know how many times we've talked about people being pulled over in traffic stops or whatever? And it's like you have to comply with law enforcement. If they're wrong or if they treat you wrong, you will beat them in court. But you have to comply with law enforcement so that you don't have the worst of the worst situation happening here. And what you have in Minneapolis right now is the leaders there saying, go get them, go after them. And it's kind of scary. All right, let's get to the results of today's YouTube live chat poll. Have you made up your mind regarding the death of Minneapolis protester and nurse Alex Pretti? Yes or no? I'll remind you that the president, through Carolyn Levitt today at the press briefing, said, let's get all the information out, referred to it as a tragedy, and did not rush to jump on the Stephen Miller assessment of domestic terrorists. So we'll wait and see. 230 votes today in the YouTube poll. 67% of you say yes, you've made up your mind. A third of you have said no, not yet. Please consider donating to the Annie Fry Show Scholarship. Every dollar counts. LisaSTL.org/Annie.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Health Trends, sponsored by LensSeek.
Sun damage is still a risk during the colder months, and some sports raise the risk, like skiing and fishing, since harmful violet rays are reflected by snow, water, and sand. UV rays are present all year. 80% of UV light penetrates